Okay, hold on a minute, chat. Let's say Lost Belt 1 got an anime, right? And it had a budget, so it wasn't like just shovelware. Does anyone else feel like with Beowulf, they would find some reason in combat to have him use the chains on his arms? Like it's a weapon? Like guys, look, it's practical, guys! I really feel like they would do that. Like at some point, they would just could not help themselves. 100%. Yeah, I definitely think so. Oh god. All right, let's see here. Let me make sure. I'm on the Steno account right now, but I'm gonna get on the Perk account in a minute because I want to make sure everybody's got aerial drive. Yeah, aerial drive and Made in Halloween. Seriously, don't. A lot of the CEs from this event you don't need, but Made in Halloween is super good. It's niche as hell, but it has uses, so I want to make sure. Liz, shut up. I want to make sure. Okay, let's see. Yep, we got it. So today, I got on the 1 to 3 star account, which I haven't played in ages, and I just played the beginning of the event until I could get this. Now this CE has like no use for anybody except that account, because pretty much everyone has the Shinji CE, which is much better than this, because Shinji's CE is debuff success chance up 15 to 20%. This one is 10 to 12%. So this one's way worse, but the hey Cairo, the 1 to 3 star account can only use 3 stars, so this is, as far as I'm aware, this is like the only craft essence that account can use to have debuff chance up. So if you want to make sure like Alexander's Charm lands or some nonsense like that, right? This is one of your only options. So I figured I'd get it to be safe. Bella QB, thank you for the 5 months. Just Bella is fine, fair enough. Okay, I think you've told me that before, but I never remember because I know I'm old, I don't know. I'm just saying it because Cairo's gonna say it, so. Alright, so this account though pretty much has everything it has to get, but we'll use our AP here and get a bit further, then we'll go to the Herc account. My main is finished though, my main's done everything, it got all the lures. This account did not get as far as I would have liked, and that's mainly because I just kept not using my natural AP on this account, because I was like, oh, I'll save the AP for the stream, and then I'd stream later than I should have, and then I would just waste a lot of AP. Because my main account, I think used like 1 or 2 apples, but it mostly was just natural regeneration, and it cleared the whole thing. It got all the ladder done, but this one's like only a bit over halfway, so that was kind of my fault. Okay, well, this account wants to do like hero proof stage, but if I want to get the ladder done, I should do this stage. Let's see. What are the upcoming rewards? If I do a little bit more farming, I could get a foe item, mana prisms. Oh yeah, I guess if I want to get Liz finished, I'd need to do more of the event, but I will not use Liz on this account or probably any other account, so I do not give a crap about that. I really should have played this account more though. I slacked quite a bit. Yeah, caster gyms are always good. I do want to at least get that foe items. I'll do it a little bit. I know I might use some apples later. We'll see. There's only a few hours left though. The caster gym stage can drop proofs at the same time. Okay, never mind. Fuck the ladder. Literally fuck the ladder. I'm guessing it's the highest level caster one. Yeah, we don't need to do the ladder like oh yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, it doesn't really drop a whole lot of stuff though that we need, but like for the vent, but screw it. Probably just get carried by Mordred again. Let me change her CE. Yeah, I kind of, what I ended up doing, this is why really only my main 100% of the event, is because I basically had to play every account that I have to at least get them aerial drive and Made in Halloween. They're too good, right? Like I did that on all of them, and I wanted to get the Grail on all of them while I was at it, so I ended up not like hammering up like the Steno account. I leveled Geronimo for some reason on JP. Was I high on sleep fatigue? I mean, maybe someday he'll get buffed. He's cool at least. And this event honestly was grindier than I thought it would be. I mean, it was easy to get the Grail and that stuff, that was super easy. But like to complete the ladders, it's actually pretty grindy. Okay, I'm gonna give Mordred starting in P event CE. I should really give her command codes, but you know what? I'll do it just for fun. I'm sure she won't need it to help us carry this stage, but it's nice to have Mordred kick some ass. We'll do like Star Absorb crit, so she definitely crits with her Buster. We'll give her like the Merlin one, that kind of stuff. So how'd y'all feel about this event, for those of you that actually played it? I like the challenge quest. I like the challenge quest just fine. The main story was kind of just forgettable though. The loot was good. The loot was good. Got a lot of, you know, hero proofs and lores, a hell of a lot of lores. I had no time to play it. Well, I hope you at least got those craft essences I was talking about, and if you can play right now, I would say spend the last couple of hours here and at least try to grab those, because you're really gonna want Maiden Halloween and Aerial Drive on most accounts. And if you can grab a lore, you know, might as well. Okay. Here, I was gonna put heal on Art for Mordred, but I'll do Star Bomb. We're mostly just gonna be showing off here. Dude, I didn't play the Herc account loads, but I played it a chunk in this event. And even though that account, you know, I don't play a lot and it hasn't done a lot of events or any of that, it was able to 3-turn the free quests really easily because of its lane Toria. It's got a Rosh and Spartacus. So it had no problems. Just going gas, gas, gas. Okay, I think we're ready now. Can we please get a command code UI update? I don't think that's even asking for too much. It's been years, man. Oh yeah. We have Ushi kinda leveled, still doesn't have her 3rd skill, NP1, hasn't done her buffs yet. Probably not even worth using then, to be honest. We will do... As soon as this event's over, we're doing all of our interludes and strengthening quests, and then we're doing Babylonia. Like, we're gonna get right on that. Oh fuck though, isn't the Gouda event starting? I don't know if this account really needs to do that though. I forgot, they're literally starting the Gouda event like tonight. Like what, which, I mean, I'd rather have things to do than nothing, right? But yeah, it's like really early tomorrow or whatever, but it's somewhere in there. Yeah, Nobukatsu's coming back, so that's good. I like the problem with the Gouda event is, off memory, the main story and like the side bosses and everything are all boring as fuck, and it's like super, super boring. But the challenge quest is good. Like, I do remember the challenge quest is good. But I think that's it. Yeah, it is a good time to roll FP because you get CE XP like bombs from it during that event, and you can get Nobukatsu coins. Although I think they're giving you enough Nobukatsu coins from the shop, so you don't really need those. But it's still good to use FP because you can get you could get the 3 stars that you might want for coins. You can get the XP for leveling up craft essences and that kind of stuff, and then you'll get Nobukatsu while you're at it. So. Yeah, the raids are like super easy, I remember. They're like super, super easy. My Rush doesn't have his 3rd skill because you have to unlock those because this game is garbage. You know what's dumb? Is you could grail a Rush and not have his 3rd skill. Speaking of which, hold on, I actually want to foe, give him foe items, because I need him for Babylonia, so he's pretty high priority on that. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could 120 Arash and not have a third skill. There's actually a bunch of servants you could do that with if you cared to. Oh god, did I already use my foe items? Oh no, okay, we're good. Good thing I have these. I can't believe I actually bought this, but this account is so new that this is better than nothing, really. And this thing's just OP. I wonder how much, because it goes up to 75%, I think. I wonder how much you heal for with Arjuna if you have the heal boost command code and then this equipped. That's basically a full heal every turn. That's total nonsense right there. I mean, I guess they shouldn't because you have to line it up, but the heal boost command code almost needs a cooldown with like how much value you can get out of it. But I guess it's fine because you still have to like line it up, and it doesn't do anything on its own. Like it's literally a command code that does nothing. It has to be synergized with something else, so I guess it's fair. Okay, where are the goods here? It is so weird it being 2021 and I'm on JP, not NA, and I'm like, yeah, we need Halloween Princess. Because that's such a dated 50% starting in PCE. But new account, so might as well. I won't level it that much though. Yeah, Burgist is good with it. I mean, all kinds of units are good with it. Sometimes units that don't even have healing are good with it because there might be a stage gimmick that heals you and things like that. And it interacts with it as well, which is kind of silly, but it is what it is. Yeah, the reason Made in Halloween isn't amazing, it's not bad. I mean, it's a fine craft essence, but it only boosts your NP damage, right? It doesn't do anything for like your buster cards or your normal attacks or any of that. It's just NP damage. And then it splits stat. So unless you're NPing, it's not really kicking in. And that's why it's pretty dated. But it's still 50% starting NP and then some damage up, so it's okay. I'll probably keep it at like level 20 or something, and then just it's gonna get replaced pretty quick, especially because we do have aerial drive from this event. But it's nice. Boom, aerial drive and Halloween Princess. Great event to start with, really. You're hitting the ground running that way. Yeah, if it was full attack stat, it'd actually be a very good like placeholder, because then the raw attack stat would help your normal cards enough. All right, damn it, losing track of what I'm doing here. Supposed to be foeing Arash, even though I can't use him because I don't have his third skill. Well, I mean, if you're only going to have one servant, Waver's a good starting point. He's like the most universal support in the game. A lot of whales out there act like he's so shit now because you have all these other battery supports, but he's still pretty amazing. He's very easy to build teams around. Yeah, Nero's good with Made in Halloween. And Kidu generally is not, because he heals for enough as is. Okay, so this account really doesn't have any counter class that's worth a damn, so I think we do this. A little bit painful, but let's see, we need Bond on Ushi, Fluffy Boy, I guess George. Fluffy Boy doesn't have his third skill either. So much pain. Don't think this stage drops this. Bring it anyway, just in case. Amakusa also doesn't need really high skill ranks, so he's good for a new account like that. Rulers are always good for new accounts because they're universal in like the stages that they're good on. And then Amakusa's AoE, so good for farming. Okay, do I NP right now? Depends on what the next wave is. I'll do it. Punch an Oni in the face. Yeah, I could use an interlude down. That'd be nice. Strengthening quest down too. That's actually the more important one. Oh, okay, I should have saved my NP. I remember this stage now. Well, time for Mordred to punch things in the face. Let's see. This is where you want Arash to clear the first wave. Like, that would make this a lot better. Let's see if Mordred's gonna impress us with her damage here. It could have been better. Need a crit up in there. I'll probably kill it on this one though. This is where a rider carrying you is a lot better, because if they have the event CE, they'll just shred these things. Yeah, I've got a Grailed Siegfried on my main. He's NP5 too, just because I've been spooked by him a lot over the years. I'm not complaining, right? I'm totally okay with that. So yeah, he's 90, 10, 10, 10, NP5. How is Mordred not taking any damage here? What are we doing? Cheating, that's what. Not one-shotting at neutral, indeed. I'm sitting on 3 Grails on my main, but I'm saving them for Ku. Basically, what I've said is anytime I go over 3 Grails, I'll give them to like Tesla until he's 100, but I'm always keeping 3 in case I get Ku coins. Cause like, I could roll FP during the Gouda event and I might get a Ku copy. Although, sadly, if I got a Ku copy, it's not enough to Grail him. I have to get 2 more copies if I want to Grail him. Like, if this account picked Waver as its free 5-star, which it could, it hasn't even picked one yet, but that would make like this stage so much easier. You could NP on both your units so much smoother. You could get through this stage much, much faster. But there's better units you could summon than Mordred to also get through it faster. But then I wouldn't be giving myself FP, now would I? And that's obviously the important part here. Dude, FP's value has gone up so much. Like, over time, they kept doing things to make it better and better, and now it's just so valuable. Really, all this account actually would need to do to get through this stage smoothly is get Arash's 3rd skill. If it had Arash's 3rd skill, it could do this stage quite smoothly. It could kind of use Arash anyway, though. It could, you could use the Mystic Code that gives you 10%. You get 10% from Qingong, and then you use K-Scope. That's so scuffed, right? Like, that's super scuffed, but you could do that. Like, it's obviously better to just have your fucking 3rd skill and do that, but... Okay, where are you with Bond? Not even close. I think he needs to be Bond 4 or 5, and that's it. The Ushi's kind of done, really, but we'll try to get her at least to 7. Oh god, I summoned Siegfried. I wasn't paying attention. Oh god! Wrong Saber! He's not an event servant, he doesn't have an event CE. Uh-oh. Oh fuck. That's not good. This is not how we carry. Let's see. How do I bail myself out of this predicament here? let's see. I can taunt right now on Qin Gong. I might need to kill this wave the old-fashioned way. If Siegfried just had an event CE, this would not be that bad, right? Like, that'd be fine. But he's neutral now without an event CE. So that's not great. Okay. We're gonna play the long game. I'm trying to think if I want to rush someone's NP or if I want to save. I think I need to save it. I'm gonna do that. Maybe I should have. One of these are gonna get their NP. I'm not gonna kill them fast enough, so I should have saved that taunt. Okay, well, we need to kill some of these fucks. The nightmare is just the fact that, again, no event CE. It's really bad. We might lose. That's scary to say, but we might lose. Wait, I put Ushi in the back, actually, so she's at least counterclassing. If I had known this stage was going to be this bad, I would have brought Hans. Because we could have used the long-term value. Let's see, what did I put on the... I think it's, George. Actually, George is good here. Like, George will probably bail us the hell out. Yeah, he's really good here. Because he's counterclassing, and he's got Gut CE, and he's got Taunt for their NPs. Like, that's a huge, huge help. Damn it, I should have done it differently. I could have killed that and then hit the other one a little bit. Also, default Mystic Code would have been really helpful. Could taunt right now, and that would grab their NPs. Probably worth. God damn it, man. That sucks. What are we doing here? I should have used their third skills like on turn 1, because they'd be back by the time I needed them. Do I give George the invulnerability? I don't think so. I need to at least kill one of these. Okay. Anti-Dragon CE wouldn't really be that good. Like, it's good if they're inherently a dragon, but, like, George only makes them a dragon for 3 turns, so, like, every other turn that George's NP's not up, your CE's not doing anything. Like, it wouldn't be good at all, really. Like, as good as Yang CE is, it's a really slippery slope, because it already has a pretty hard time making up for not having starting NP, so you have to start, you know, really throwing out damage right away, otherwise it's not worth it. Like, already there are times that Yang CE is not worth it, even if you have 100% uptime on burn. So if it's anti-dragon, then it's pretty garbage, unless, again, they're inherently dragon. Then it's broken as fuck, right? If the enemy just happens to be a dragon, then it's super good. I could keep George alive. If he had starting NP, he could actually turn one of the ogres into a dragon, but he doesn't. I'm hoping the at least 2-shot this so I can target switch a little bit. I should be using George's cards more, actually, because he's got the damage CE. I forgot about that. Well, that's unfortunate. Dragon Trade is not considered a debuff. It's Georgia's dragon thing is actually really unique. Like, it lands no matter what, and they can't get rid of it no matter what. Like, they can have debuff immunity and all that, and it still lands. I don't think there's ever been a stage that it doesn't work. I don't know, there might be some weird, like, story stage that you're not supposed to beat that it doesn't work or something, but... Oh man, Asterios is terrible here, because again, doesn't have his third skill. Oh boy. Actually, I should have tried to keep George alive. I really should have, because he had a damage CE. Like, I should have given him the Mystic Code and stuff. It'd have been worth it. I cannot believe how long it is taking to get through this wave. So the deck was shuffling in pretty crappy ways. I should have just NP'd though. I mean, I'm at 200%. That was atrocious. That took a very long time. You know, I'd have been okay if the bonus one didn't spawn this time, all things considered. I think I double NP here. See, NP5, this is interesting. So, Siegfried support is NP5, level 90, but no event CE. And, you know, his third skill is 10, right? Where the normal Siegfried on the account is NP1, level 80, and his third skill is like level 4 or 5 or something. But he has the event bonus. So, I actually think the middle Siegfried will probably still hit harder, so I think we give him the buff. Because the event CE is such a large boost. It is funny how much worse Siegfried is doing compared to Mordred. Very night and day here. Yeah, it wasn't that much better. We're probably going to lose. We're probably going to have to use our CS, because I don't want to waste the AP. But dude, picking Siegfried was just so bad. No event bonus, no event CE. Just terrible. Class neutral. If he was a rider, it'd have been okay, but... And like, if this Ushi was like proper, she could just solo what's left. But she's not, and she's in P1. And I don't think she has an event CE either. Yeah, she doesn't. And she doesn't have her third skill, because again, FGO is a piece of shit. Yep, we're definitely gonna have to CS. There's no way. Yeah, I don't know why my Ushi is still in P1. She's like the only 3-star that's like that. Very bad luck on that one. If Ushi had her third skill though, I think we would be fine. I don't know, she might be able to pull this out at the end. We'll see. Like, if she had a proper CE, so she had like starting NP, she had her third skill, it'd be totally fine. But she's got like the 3-star event CE, which doesn't give you an event bonus, and the no stats. She basically has to, yeah, there's just no way, because she's in P1, so she's gonna hit Geronimo for like 60k. Like, that ain't gonna do shit. Weird that the bigger Siegfried died first, because he had more health, he healed for more, and the cooldown was shorter. This is where bringing a Rosh would have been very worth, because the beginning was so bad. Will she even make it to Geronimo? I don't know. I don't know. Not looking so good. I could NP this guy, but I think that would be. I mean, there's no way. Like we've lost no matter what. I guess you do NP this guy then. That way, if you do revive, you're not still dealing with this guy. All of this because they added that stupid triple summon system, because that wouldn't have happened otherwise. 38k? What a joke. I guess we're 1-1-0 then NP1, so but that's still pretty terrible. I guess make stars. Blue cube worthy content. I don't know about that one. Hey, Mr. Isit. Thank you for the gifted sub. Yeah. Guys, Geronimo's good, right? He's gonna win, so he's clearly meta. No, you can't blue cube event stages. You can only blue cube main story. Dude, this was just painful. Like, not only was it ineffective and it lost, but it took 20 turns. How do you even... Is it that? Yeah, it's that one. And we're back. Saber Wars challenge quest over here. What would really be sad is if we died here, but we won't. We're fine. But that would be really sad. %40 crit, nah, event bonus is better. Dude, that really is funny how much worse this was compared to Mordred. I could just give Medusa the event CE, and that's probably a simpler way to get through this, but I'm too lazy. You've been suspended for 3 months, yeah. $32 on a normal card. Hey, at least we get the loot though, so we didn't waste the AP. It's not like I was gonna use my command spells for anything else. God, that was so painful. Yeah, Chin Gong, yeah. He's in P1 too though. I don't know what is wrong with this account's luck, dude, because it has almost every 1 to 3 star in the game at a decent NP rank except for Ushi and Chin Gong. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Oh, that was our last of our AP too. I mean, I don't want to use apples. It's not worth it. There's no loot from this that's worth using these apples on right now. I'd rather save it for the main story. I kind of want to do it at least one more time though, because that was just so horrible. All right, I'll use a bronze apple, and then we'll go to the Herc account. Little bit stronger here. In case of emergency. Dude, she's so weak though. No third skill, doesn't have her buffs for her other skills, and NP1. Very bad. Guys, so we're ready for Demeter, right? We can totally just fight Demeter with that. No problem. Hit Demeter for like 20k when she's got her defense up. Kind of funny though, because Ushi really does become a monster once she does, 30 strengthening quests. This hand actually sucks, because if I NP right now, I won't have my Buster cards for the guys coming up. Let me try this. That crit spread, though. That kind of ruined it. Just get lucky, forehead? Damn it! I don't know, I probably should have still NP'd. Because now we're just whiffing everything. We'll see. Should still be fine, because Mordred's value here is just light years ahead of Siegfried. Although she is the only one getting punched in the face right now, which I can't say I'm a fan of. Hey, Cobb. Jesus Christ. Should have done Qinggong's second skill just for survivability. Pretty sure the bronze one, though, only has one action per turn. Yep. Of course he hit Mordred, though. See, that really wasn't worth it, though. Like, I should just NP'd there, because... like, everything... I didn't even use my skills to have them come back off cooldown, so I don't... there's really no value there. Maybe I should have saved that. I should have just NP'd, I think. Well, roll with it. How much damage will we do? I'm hoping she doesn't kill because I want to do that art card. Fuck! I shouldn't have done half those buttons! Did way more damage than I was thinking. God damn it. Because if I'd done the art card, we'd be at, like, 40% NP, and then we would do this, and then we do Qinggongs, right? Like, we're pretty much be ready to NP right now. But, way more damage than necessary there. You don't see that combo very often. Now, Mordred is not a tall one. Let's see, so I could have done this as well. And I'd have 10%. Yeah, I'd probably have my NP right now, because I'd be at 95 and whatever the art card did, so I'd have my NP right now if I had not fucked that up. Should have put the art card last. Never mind, we can just kill him the old-fashioned way. Hans really would be better on this team, though. He'd crit more. Alright, that's enough of this account. All of this just because I don't have Arash's third skill, by the way. That's like the whole reason I'm having to do all that. I just had Arash's third skill. I just have him clear the first wave. And there's like no problem. Yeah, I'll do an account review probably before we go to the Herc account. Although, actually, I do want to go to the Herc account first and check the shop, because I want to know if it has Made in Halloween and all that. Because I do, the event ends in a couple hours, and I don't want to like lose track and forget about it and then just not have bought it and then lose it forever. Like, fuck that. I'm pretty sure I already bought it, but... This account is a million times stronger than this Thinno one. I think all of my accounts have everything they need from it. Not even remotely weird to see me use 5 stars. Wow, I barely played this account though. Fucking not even 700k. Okay, I want to buy that. Oh crap. Whoo boy, glad I checked. Okay, it does not need this one. It's got plenty of 50% starting ones. Probably should get these. Liz, can you shut the hell up? Holy crap. This game, man, how to make everything annoying. Okay. This account doesn't really need to do anything though, because this account's actually in decent shape. Because yeah, it has Spartacus and Rosh's skills. Wow, it's got Bond 8. This is actually, out of all of my accounts, even NA, I don't even know how this happened, but this is going to be my first account that gets Bond 10 Hans. My main doesn't even have that. My main is like Bond 8 or something. And like NA is like Bond 7 or some shit. So somehow the Herc account is getting Bond 10 Herc first. And it doesn't even have attack foes on Hans. Not that you really need them, but... See, she's actually got her upgrades over here, a little bit better. But she's only 666, but yeah, it has that, so that makes it a lot easier. Obviously it has this. Oh, gotta get that David skill up. Let's see if... I bet she doesn't have the skill gems. Let me see. Yeah. Once Christmas happens, I'll probably get... No. Easy. Let's see, anything else this account needs to get done here? Needs to get Asclepius' stuff up, Hans' stuff up. I think it already has a max coup. Do we level Q on this account? Oh, I see, he's 10-10-8. So we still need that. Of course it's hero proofs, but that's not that big of a deal. Okay, account review time. Let's see, we got, oh god, no capital letters. I think it's Deceitful Mason. I think I remember that name from my chat, actually. I'm almost positive that's someone that's been in my chat. Okay. What we got here? 0 apples. Skillfest is a thing. Feels bad. Well, I hope you got a lot of boom for your buck then. Let's see. Hello, Mr. Green. Hope you're doing well. I've started playing FGO around the Gouda 2 rerun last year, so okay, about a year-old account. I've been a Fate fan for much longer. I regret not touching this game for so long. I've been watching your stuff since the start of the year, but I don't stick to the lives, so... Oh, streams. The like live streams. Okay. I was like, what? I don't stick to the live streams often because of the time zones. Since I started watching you, I liked the way you played the game, and I discovered you could have fun with the game. No way! You playing video games for fun and not like trying to, you know, 3-turn everything all the time. Crazy. This is an advice request, kind of free-to-play account, except my 3 GSSRs. I like doing hard content. I don't mind using OP stuff. I also use budget stuffs every so often. I don't have much OP stuff myself. So basically, you want to be meta, but then you want to be able to do budget stuff on the side for like to have like challenge yourself every once in a while. Also, can you give me recommendations of what servants to roll to get interesting interlude rank up fights? I mean Gil, obviously the dragon. So Gilgamesh, Dion's got an okay one, but it's way inferior to the dragon. I think what's her name? Like the thick caster, I forget her name from Epic of Remnant. Argartha. She's got a good one, I think. What else is there? There's Canis, obviously, but those are really overrated. Those Canis's interlude really isn't that good. It's like it's God Juna, but so much dumber. Like everyone acts like it's like the God Juna fight. It's not. It's so much easier. And then like the Zeus fight is so much easier. Like it's okay, but I actually don't think those stages are that good because the Zeus fight is so like gimmicky and bizarre. It's not really good for like messing about. It's like very specific, but then the interlude version of Zeus is also so much easier that it's not half as interesting as like the regular one. And the God Juna fight is he doesn't even hit that hard, and he's just like a giant meat bag. But that's kind of okay for testing if you want to just like have a punching bag. But I think there's better ones. Sheba's, I don't even remember Sheba's. Tristan's is good. You just don't get support, so you can't test like friends units and stuff. What else is there? I know there's a few other ones. Oh, Mordred's, because you don't need to beat that one to unlock anything. You don't need it for her buffs. She has an interlude where you fight Lion King. I mean, again, it's not that hard. You know, it's easier than the Camelot one, but she does have multiple health bars, so it's a thing. I'm sure there's some other stuff though, but that's what just comes to mind. Pictures off center, yeah, it's generally how it goes with these anyway. They don't really fit. Alright, what do we got here? Want to roll for Masashi and Muramasa in the future, and Mordred is going to be my SSR ticket picks next year. Well, there you go. You can, when you do Mordred has an interlude where at some point you'll fight Lion King, right? And then just save that one, because beating that interlude doesn't unlock anything, and it's not a prerequisite for her other stages. All you get is an SQ, right? So who cares? So if you're planning on getting Mordred anyway, there's a good interlude for you. Okay, so you've already got the Artoria. So you don't, Mordred, I guess, is mostly just for, you know, you like her, and she is really good, and I generally say she's better than Artoria, but if you already got a 10-10-10 Artoria, it's like, that's really good for farming and everything else, so. Pretend Fergus is here, so you burned your Fergus. Why do so many of my viewers do this? Always lock one copy of every 1 to 3 star, because there's no reason not to. You can just get event bonuses from them. You know, if you ever decide to level them, they're there. There's literally no benefit to burn. Like, wow, you get like 5 mana prisms or whatever. Whoop-de-doo, right? You can get that from the other Ferguses you get down the road. Anyway, let's see. So you got Artoria for AoE, farmy stuff. Got Lancelot for single target, Hokusai for a single target. You also got Saber Alter for AoE, so your farming's fine. They're both in P1 though, so there's definitely going to be stages where there are not enough oomph, unless you happen to have Merlin or something. You don't really need to level any other sabers though. Between Lancelot, Hokusai, and then the 2 Artorias, it's like you have all your bases covered. And if like single target needs to be not art, because like there's a boss gimmick where art is bad, you've got Bedivere and Caesar, so you don't need to level anything for your sabers. Let me skip ahead real quick and look at casters, because I want to know if you have like Merlin and stuff. Okay, you have Waver. So the card type doesn't matter too much, right? So if you had Merlin, I'd be like way more emphasis on like leveling Bedivere, like and getting his skill ranks up and stuff, opposed to having the art stuff. But if Waver, it's fine. You can use whatever. Okay, I wish I'd started playing earlier, so I had level 110 to 10 Nobu to show here. Well, it's not like she's any good. But, you know, if you like her, she'll probably come back eventually. We'll probably pick Tesla in 2023. Wow, it's so weird that you all can plan ahead to 2023. Like, 2023, that's crazy, dude. David is strong unit to slap on almost every comp. That's pretty accurate. Okay, you passed the David test. That's good. You got that rank 10 second skill. You don't have Merlin, so actually you want that. That's actually very good. You got a Rosh. He's got his 3rd skill up, so good for farming. He's grailed once, so he's got those 10 levels instead of just the 5, and that makes farming even easier, so that really helps. You got a Grailed Paris, 10-10-10. That's pretty good. When Paris is Grailed, he can do quite well at boss killing. You get buff removal, you get the Pierce Invulnerability. Let's see, what do you got though? You got Imia for AoE as well. So Arash and Imia, that mostly gets the job done. Imia's MP3 as well. Imia's not the best farming unit because he doesn't have battery or any of that, but he's okay. And you've got Waver, so you can make it work. Seriously, between Waver and Arash, and then just like whatever starting in PCE on Imia, that'll work for a lot of stuff, especially Saber stages. You got Chloe if you need a backup single target. You got Robin, he's 1-1-1, but it's at least something. So your archers are fine, you don't need too much here. If I was gonna focus on anything here, let me think. Maybe just Robin's skill ranks, because he is a really good backup, but because of Chloe, you don't really need it. For farming, you could level Atalante or Arjuna, but you don't need it. Arjuna's probably the best pick. When I think about it, out of all these units, if I was gonna level something, it'd be Arjuna, because it's another AoE that helps with farming. He has a battery, and then he gives you anti-debuff and a massive amount of anti-debuff, and that's can be helpful. But I wouldn't rush him. I'm like, oh my god, I have to level Arjuna right now, right? You could level it whenever. But yeah, Arjuna's a lot better than people think. Oh hey, how about that? We were just talking about her. Look at that level 100 Panda Lancer there, and 10-10-10 NP2, very nice. Here's where things start to get intense. I try to use Panda Lancer, or Sheen, every say her name, solo everything that crits. Good luck with that. I have to imagine that fails more often than it succeeds, because I've tried that too, and you know, she can do some fancy stuff, but she has some real problems. She's a lot of fun though, I do agree with that. One of my first targets, Nuked or Nazash was my only farming option for a time until I got Pravati, and she's better. Yeah, Pravati is way better. No offense to Nuked, but she's not really that great. She can clear like a first wave or a second wave though with just her battery, use her battery, NP something, and then have someone else deal with the rest. So she's not useless, but Pravati is significantly better. And to be fair though, your Pravati's NP2, so that's gonna make her better anyway. Okay, so you've got Panda Lancer for just suffering, so good luck with that one. But is Lee good? I like his character, but I don't think I need him. Lee is good, actually. I don't know if he's got all of his buffs on NA. Once he gets all of his buffs, though, he's actually quite good. I really do think he's missing one of his buffs on NA. I'm almost positive he doesn't have it. But yeah, he's good. He's got really high uptime on Pierce Invulnerability / Sure Hit, because he has 2 of them. He's got nice crit damage, loops pretty well. He's really solid. You don't really need him though because you have so many Lancers already. A lot of people compare Lee to Crazy Eyes, but once Lee gets his buffs, I actually think Lee is better. But really only if Lee is in P2 or higher. If he's in P1, but if you like him, you know, you can work on him on the side, and when his buff comes out, you know, you have him ready. So if you like him, don't worry about it. Like he's not gonna hold you back. Like he's fine. But you do have a lot of Lancer options. You have multiple AoE, you have multiple single target. You've got Leonidas for taunt, so that's good. You got level 1 Leonidas as well. You don't really need to level any Lancers. Your Lancers are fine. If anything, I would just say worry about your skill ranks. Get those skill ranks up for a few of them. But yeah, it's fine. You even have Romulus, which most people don't, and that's another way to help your farming out, because you could do Romulus to clear an easy wave, Nukehead to clear another wave, right? Stuff like that. Okay, Da Vinci was my first rider I've ever rolled to, but my only farming option was Ishtar and Medusa for a long time. George was a big help on the Guildfest cheek. Yeah, I mean, George is always good for challenge quests. Okay, so you got Medusa up, so that's good for farming. You got Da Vinci, also good for farming, so you have no issues with AoE. Your single target, you got Ushi, you've got Ryoma. Ryoma's skill ranks are abysmal, but if I was gonna level anything here, it would be Alex, and I would just get him to 70 and like 1-1-1, right? Or like 1-6-1 or whatever. Like you don't need to really, you don't need to level him for like his support. It's just to have the buff removal option. Let me see if you have other things with buff removal. You do have Paris, but there was a lot of stages where Paris wouldn't be good, where Alex would be a good option, like Demeter, which is coming. Let me see what else you have for like buff removal. You got some buff block. Okay, you don't have, do you have Lobo? No, you don't have Lobo. No, I probably would level Alex. I probably would. Do you have Medea? Nope, you don't have Medea leveled. Okay, because Medea's not leveled, I would absolutely level Alex, because, I mean, hell, even in Lost Belt 5 coming up, you have multiple fights where buff removal is actually pretty important. You can use Paris for it, but having another option is good. And again, Demeter. So that's the only thing I would worry about for your riders, is just again, skill ranks, but then get Alex up. Like, it's good. Unless you have a lot of other units that have buff removal, it's just really good on the side to have Alex sitting there, just in case you need an emergency buff removal option. And again, don't have to level the skills, right? You can keep him at 111, right? Like, his buff removal is guaranteed no matter what his skill ranks are, so. But other than that, you don't need to level anything. Let's see. Caster slot will eventually 10 to 10 gong, but I'm in lower hell. That's a lot of people, I think. I mean, 999 is still fine, though. If you get anything up, you want those third and second skill. Okay, I mean, Waver just gives you all the options ever. You've got Asclepius. That's really good because you didn't have Martha or anything like that, so your anti-debuff is quite limited, but this is why Asclepius is so important. I mean, account after account after account that we've seen either has no anti-debuff on their entire account, or their only anti-debuff is Asclepius. And that's why you want to get Asclepius, right? You either want to roll on a caster rate up, or you know, White Day, when Asclepius himself is rated up, you know, whatever you got to do, it is so worth taking some SQ, setting it aside, and making sure you get Asclepius, because he is a huge help. So you've got Tam, so that's something to work with your Hokusai and Lancelot. Also, if you level Lee, or work with Lee, you got Crazy Eyes as well. And I guess Da Vinci. So you got some options for that. Then you can use Waver, Tam, and then an art DPS, and you can always use like the Switch Mystic Code for Caster Gil, stuff like that. If you like doing art stuff, then I would really recommend leveling Caster Gil's skill ranks then. Let's see, Tam was my first SSR, and I love using her. Tried leveling, shooting to use her on Ezo, but she fucking sucks. Well, you know, I mean, she's okay. You could use her for Ezo, I would think. Nito is big help for farming. Yep. I like Gong memes, and I didn't have Waver for a long time, but he's useful. Yeah, obviously Waver is like the most universal. I rolled on the Arjuna banner for Asclepius, didn't get him randomly rolled in story, and got 3 copies of him. Wow, that's rough. I wonder if you got Arjuna while you were at that. Well, at least you have him, so. You don't need to really level anything. I would, if you said you want to do budget stuff on the side, so getting Hans to 10 to 10 at some point is really important for that. But Asclepius skill ranks. The one practical thing I would say is get your Asclepius skill ranks up, because there's just nasty stuff coming down the road, and it's really nice to have Asclepius at least at 6, 6, 10. But you know, 10, 10, 10 is really nice on him, and there are many challenge quests and main story fights where the shorter cooldowns will actually come back, and that can really matter. If you don't want to level Alex, you can also level Medea to give you a buff removal option, but Alex is nice because he gets it from his skill and everything else. But Medea is still good because she has buff removal herself. Your count doesn't really need her though, so if it was me, I'd level Alex over Medea, assuming I like them equally. Like, I actually like Medea's character more, so I might level Medea, but in terms of practicality, if it's like I like the 2 characters the same, I would definitely pick Alex. Okay, what do we got here? Rolled for shooting and got her in 4 tickets or so. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Users often as a buffer and give her enemies cancer. Yeah, that's about right. Got Cleo on GSSR. She's such a good unit. She should really level Serenity's skills. I disagree. I don't think you should level Serenity's skills at all. She is not that good. But you grailed her, and so then in that case, that means you like her, and then you probably should level her skills, because if you like a unit enough to grail them, you don't want them sitting there at like 6, 7, 6, right? You want that 10, 10, 10. Like, grailed units, you need to get those skills up. But yeah, if it was just me, I wouldn't have grailed her, and I wouldn't have leveled her skills, because she's not that good. But you know, if you like her and you like maybe doing the shooting poison memes, you know, then you want those skill ranks up. Let's see. So you got Cleo for AoE. I'm assuming she's in P1. Yeah, oh, I see. I thought that was your earring, but no, that you got the rank on there. I was like, everyone else has a rank. Why doesn't she? But so Cleo's in P1, which is kind of scuffed for farming sometimes, but you can clear a lot of waves with that still, and Waver can pick up the slack. And then you got shooting as well. So between the two, I figure you get farming done fine at this point. You got Gray for AoE option as well. Do you have Fuma? You do not. However, you do have buff block through Cleo, but that's not as reliable as Clown Boy or Fuma. You might want to level Fuma just because his utility is so good. Like, if you had stronger supports, I mean, you got good ones, but if you had like all the OP bullshit, you can easily get away with not having Fuma, but there are some gaps, and you may run into some bosses where you're going to want Fuma's utility. It can make some fights a lot easier. But I wouldn't necessarily put it as super high priority because you do have a lot of other strong AoE assassins and you do have Waver and things like that. But it's good to have a buff block option that you can access without needing an NP. So I would either level Fuma or Clown Boy, you know, Myth, one or the other. Because every once in a while it's like, okay, what I need to do to get around this problem is buff block, right? Because buff block, you know, gets around, you know, buff removal resistance and things like that, so. Anything else though? Not really. I mean, you've got single target and AoE for days. I mean, you really, everything's fine. Like, all your slots are fine. It's mostly just skill ranks. Like, your skill ranks across the board are pretty scuffed with only a few exceptions. But I think you've only been playing for a year, so. Don't look at that thing. Use Nobu to solo comma. Wait, which comma are we talking? I guess we're talking about the event one. Are you talking about like the maze event comma? Did you use Berserker Nobu to solo that? Like the final one? Cha-Cha, eternally at NP3, third ascension. I mean, who cares? Who fucking cares? I mean, I guess if you like Cha-Cha, it sucks, but she's such a useless unit. What is that, Paul? What the actual fuck? Dear God. I'm gonna have like eye cancer now. I'm pretty sure they know I don't like Paul and that's why this happens, but they grailed it, so they clearly like it, but let's see, what do we got here? Berserker Nobu is the unit I use the most in FGO and she helped me in countless boss fights. Yeah, she's really good. I tell you, Berserker Nobu is really good. She can solo God unit and Limbo, that fight in Lost Belt 4. She can just straight up solo it. Jesus, that's a cursed. I like how you grailed Paul, but you didn't 10-10-10 her either, so that's a thing. So I like you have Kiyokime at 60 out of 70, 1-1-1. So I'm guessing that was because of lotteries. You probably leveled her because of lotteries and just haven't bothered. You really don't need her though. Between Nobu and Spartacus, you don't really ever need Kiyokime. So you've got Jerker and Pinth, which is a really good combo, but their skill ranks are scuffed, but those are really handy. I'm guessing you don't really prioritize leveling their skills though because of Nobu. And yeah, for single target stuff, between Nobu and Herc, you're kind of good, but there are times that like having a Pinth is just really nice because you could support your Nobu with Pinth, right? You could have her show up, get her own NP really fast, be anti-debuff, you know, do her NP with the damage up stuff, also give Nobu the damage up so when she NPs it does more. Like that can be a good option. But Spartacus is good for farming. You got Spartacus, you got a Rosh, you got Waver, so your farming is totally fine. Anything here worth leveling? And maybe Tamcat. If you're worried about Vinch, the Vinch fight in Lost Belt 5, literally just level your Tamcat. She's the biggest counter ever to the Vinch fight. She can just solo it, and it's not even hard. She can solo it super easy. Because Tams don't take like damage there really. And then she doesn't even take the Berserker bonus damage there, and then she becomes a tanky monster. So yeah, if you're worried about Vinch, level Berserker Tam, but you can probably deal with Vinch with what you got, especially if you level Alex, because Alex can remove Vinch's buffs, which makes it a lot easier. Okay, what do we got here? Use Joan of Arc every fight in Gelfest. Yep, she is super good there. She can carry, or not even carry, but she can be instrumental in like every single boss fight in Gelfest. Let's see, try to use Nobu as much as I can. So you have Avenger Nobu. Okay, so I have a bad feeling about this person, but I have to disagree with big time. I think, okay, no, they have, I think they still do this, but I was worried that they were burning all of the 3 stars they didn't like. But I don't think that's the case. I think they accidentally burned Fergus. I think that's what's happening now that I'm looking through this. But I was kind of worried they were just like burning all the 3 stars. That they're like, oh, I'm not going to use them, so I'll just burn them. But I think Fergus was just an accident. Okay, so we have super big Nobu though, level 100, 10-10, MP4, and actually really good like that. Her normal card damage is so big. There's actually some challenge quests she'll make a lot easier. Super big Jolter, only NP1, but still good. You got regular Joan of Arc for, between that and Waver, you've got pretty universal support options. Antonio is scuffed as hell, but you don't need him at all. You'll literally never need Antonio when you've got Jolter and Nobu. Like, you're never gonna need it. So unless you like him, it's not worth anything. You don't have every extra class ever, but you've got everything you need, so that's not a problem. So wait, which one are you 120? I think Avenger Ushi's the one you're going to 120. Got Abby and Joltar and GSSR. But that's going to be interesting to have a 120 Avenger Nobu. That's some huge normal card damage. Okay, let's see. So I guess you were rolling on both of the Nobus. That's what it was. All right, yeah, no Angra, no, but 10 to 10 mash, that's good, and also mash with waiver and the other options you have is really good. So, all right, level 100 aerial drive. That must mean you don't have golden sumo, and if you do, you've made a huge mistake. But that's literally my first thought, chat. I see a level 100 aerial drive, and I'm instantly like, this person doesn't have golden sumo. I mean, I'm thinking I'm totally right. Like nobody levels aerial drive to 100 when you have golden sumo, unless they've already leveled golden sumo to 100, right? But it's not even on, like, you know, in like those 3 slots, right? That's the only level 100. So yeah, they don't have golden sumo. I mean, I guess that should have been easy to guess because I don't think they had. Yeah, they didn't Rider Kentucky, so. But I could literally see this picture with no context, and I would think the same thing, right? I could see this picture with 0 context, and my brain is just instantly gonna go to they don't have golden sumo, because that's always what I'm looking at for first when I look at a CE picture. I don't know why you leveled that Okita Nobu one when they have like the drinks. That is not a good CE. It's not that good, right? Like sure, there's worse CEs out there, but there are way better things to level. Like a Gut CE, especially because you like Nobu, a Gut CE would be good. Like a Gilfest one. Art of Death would be better. Black Grail would be better. I mean, that literally the one right underneath it, the other Okita Nobu one right underneath it would be better to level up than that one. It looks cute though. No, that's not good enough. Get that out of here. Let's see. You got Star Bomb. That's good. You got plenty of 50%. What is going on this account though? I guess you just zerged the shit out of a level 100 aerial drive. And for some reason you leveled that Nobu one because nothing else is really leveled, right? So what I would have done is take that XP from that Nobu one and spread that out into like the Guts one and some of the other 50% starting in P1s. But I mean, thankfully aerial drive gets you a long way, so it's not a big deal. But you are lacking a few options here. So you got that New Kid CE, the level 15 one. That one has got a Pearson vulnerability on it. Don't forget that. Because when you do fight 5.5, you want to have some Pearson vulnerability craft essences. There are better ones than that one, but in case you don't have any of those by the time you get there, just keep that in mind that you do have that. There's, of course you should limit break Necromancy. Why would you not limit break Necromancy? Like, why you're going to get 1,000,000 copies of it over time. Why would you not limit break it? Like, it's better to come back with 1,000 health and 500 because there's dots and shit, right? There's plenty of dots that do 500 damage, and you might even have some that do like 700 and crap like that. So you're more likely to live if it's 1,000 than 500. There's no reason not to limit break it. So that's a mistake people make is they don't limit break it because they think it doesn't matter, and then they die to a fucking dot. And you're like, oh, but Necromancy will proc again. Yeah, all right. You do not want to fucking. Like, you shouldn't be using Necromancy, period, in this game, really, with the exception of maybe a few supports and really desperate situations, but it's not something you use very often, and if you do use it, you want to give it the least amount of opportunities to proc as possible. So, and that extra 500 health can absolutely make that difference. I mean, I've seen it happen plenty of times where you have Guts that bring you back with 1 health, or 500, and it's not enough, right? And because of boss gimmicks and life drains and stuff. Like, hell, there's a Zenobia challenge quest right now. You know, like, Ku's Guts brings him back at 1,500, and that's really good, because it brought him back at 1,000 or 500 or 1, you know, he'd be fucked, right? And you just die. So, the more health you can get on Guts, the better. Let's see. And yeah, you don't want to be using Necromancy in the first place, because it's, you know, it's a desperate play, very much so. All right, so we got Quad Canith CD. I almost said it there actually because I was focusing so much on like. You got Sakura scopes. Did you have a limit broken one? You do not. Well, hopefully you can limit break that before they get rid of it because it's really good. Like because it's cheaper team cost and a lot of units can turn 1 NP with it and they don't need other stuff, so it's a really good option to have. Did you have a K scope? I don't think so. So even more reason for you to want the Sakura scope. I had the anti-berserker CE as well. Okay, that's good because that anti-berserker CE is very good against Fluffy. Now, obviously, you all don't deal with Fluffy for a while. I like how I'm talking about Fluffy, and this music right now is Lost Belt 6 map theme. Like, when Fluffy's on the field even. Like, this music plays for that. Anyway, the anti-divine one is better, right? Because, so, for those that don't know, the anti-berserker craft essence gives you bonus damage to berserkers, and then you ignore armor all the time. But Fluffy doesn't have an armor effect. He never casts a defense up, so that doesn't do anything. Where the anti-divinity craft essence is the exact same bonus damage. It's like 35, and then limit broken it's 40. So they're exactly the same, but then it gives you starving NP, which you might not need, but you might well need. So it's just better than the anti-berserker one. But the anti-berserker one is still good. And you have a Black Grail, that's a good option too. Those are like for your DPS, that's generally what you want, is either Black Grail, anti-berserker, or anti-divine. And depending on like damage thresholds and like how much damage you're taking, it kind of depends on what's best. It's never too soon to start preparing for Fluffy. I'm serious. Start looking out for trying to make sure you got a good craft essence for your DPS, and you have a good DPS for it, and that kind of thing, because he coming, and he gonna kill. So yeah, get Asclepius, get one of those 3 CEs, and thankfully you can get the anti-divinity one with rare prisms, so you can get that anytime. Yeah, get your mash up, get your Asclepius up, try to find a good DPS. If you have no rare ones, then Ku is the best option by a lot. Okay, so you got 20-30. I mean, you have most of the stuff. Oh, you've got Origin Bullet. That's worth leveling. I'd get that at least to 20. Try to get that anti-nail one up as well. And yeah, Art of Death. I don't know if you have it or not, but getting Art of Death up is worth it. But yeah, don't level that Nobu Okita one anymore. Like that's not good. I swear it's being leveled just because of the art. I think that's the reason. It's not good. It's not worth it. Do that later once you have your fundamentals up. Yeah, Child of Atlas is the anti-berserker one. Thank you for the review, and I look forward to being your regular on the VODs. Yeah, I've seen you in my streams before, but yeah, hey, if you watch the VODs, I appreciate it. I've actually am shocked how many people watch my VODs on Twitch even. I'm shocked. I can't fathom it, but I do appreciate it. Okay, well, that's all the pictures he sent, so I mean, he's really prepared. He should be fine. Let me skim through this though. So for Demeter, he could probably beat Demeter right now because he's got so many riders, and literally just throw all the riders at it and a couple of supports and you'll be fine. But to be safe, I would level Alex, and you'll definitely be able to beat Demeter then, because Demeter has a big damage cut and the defense up that she casts at a preset time, and when you need a damage on that turn, you can have Alex just remove it, and that's really good. And Alex can also do that when you fight Vinch in Lost Belt 5. Vinch has a bunch of annoying buffs at the start and a bunch of annoying buffs at the end. And if you can remove those, it makes the fight a lot easier. Like, I think she has a full health guts, but you can remove it, so then you don't have to deal with it. So yeah, Alex would be a good level up. But what's your best DPS for Fluffy? Let's see, because again, it's never too soon to prepare. None of these are great for Fluffy. Paris could kind of work against Fluffy, but it's not that good because you can't really remove any buffs other than the invulnerability, which he doesn't cast too often. And then debuffing him is bad. Debuffing Fluffy is a bad thing. So, and Paris doesn't have enough health. So, Paris would not be my first option for fighting Fluffy. So, although so far it's the best I've seen, that's not what I would go with. Actually, Chloe is probably better. For real, Chloe at level 80, 10, 10, 10 would probably be better for Fluffy. It's actually probably pretty good, to be honest. I'm sure people out there have beaten Fluffy with Chloe, because you get the free cast story in that fight. So, okay, so Panda Lancer, not an option against Fluffy. Like, not as a DPS anyway. Like, definitely not. You know, if you can somehow get Fluffy to crit all the time, then you have that at least. But if he's critting, you're probably getting one shot. So. Yeah, Ku, so far, I'm not even kidding. So far, Ku is the best DPS on your account for Fluffy. Level 70 Ku right now is your best DPS for Fluffy. And if you gave him the Anti-Divinity CE or Black Grail, and especially if you got his third passive, because like my Ku is 100, but my Ku didn't have his passive. So if you get his passive, that'd actually be really good. Let's see. So anything, Da Vinci's not good. So yeah, right now, Ku is your best DPS for Fluffy. None of these are good. None of these are good. Nobu's okay, actually. Berserker Nobu's okay. Oh, there we go. That's actually good. Yeah, Big Mama Nobu there. She's really, and she's already grailed and everything. That's your best right there. That's your best. She probably doesn't want Black Grail, so you probably want the Anti-Divinity or the Anti-Berserker one. So keep the Anti-Divinity one is better, but either one. So yeah, I think Avenger Nobu is your best shot for Fluffy. And yeah, if you actually waited a bit, you could actually take her over 100. Actually, no, you can take her over 100 before Fluffy, I think. So yeah, you could actually have like 105 or whatever you can get to for Fluffy. And yeah, that's probably the way to go. So I think you're probably going to want to use your Mash, want to use your Asclepius, use your Nobu. Maybe your Waver. He doesn't always make the cut there, but Waver can still be really good there. Yeah, I think you've got what you need for Fluffy, especially because you have the Anti-Berserker thing. That's kind of cool. Okay, I think that's enough for this account. That was Deceitful Mason, I believe is what that was. Yes, okay. Alright, what am I doing on this account? This account doesn't actually need to do this event anymore, really. Unless it wants to do the caster stage. Let me see. It could use the hero proofs, and everyone... Okay, fuck it. We'll at least use our AP on it. It has some... Let me check. I'll do them later, but I think my Herc account actually has a lot of... Oh yeah, it didn't finish this. Oh god, chat, do we power this out in 3 hours to get the Grails? Do I need the Grails? Yeah, I probably should. Grailing is fun. Alright, let's see. How far in are we? We might have already done some of it. Let me see. I forgot that I hadn't done this on the Herc account. I did it on the Sinnoh account, and I did it on my main, and I did it on my ult, but apparently not this one. Power hour, yeah, well, I'm hoping I at least did, like, the first one or something, because the second and third are pretty long. Yeah, I'll probably go ham then, or kinda ham, because I may not be bothered slotting the stuff that's the most ham, but... Yeah, I'll 120 Herc on this account, it's just I don't have any coins right now. So I don't have a way to do it, but if they had a free 4-star, I'll pick them every time. Okay, I think we're in part 2, so we did part 1. So we still have, I mean, part 1 is so short that that's basically nothing. You know, it might be a Saber, but I think Mordred can just carry everything, and she already has command code, so there'll be much Mordred today. I could always bring an AoE Berserker too, though. That would also work. The song's really good. Good old Epic 7, before it was a PvP shit show. Speaking of PvP shit shows, how about that FGO wanting to add PvP? That's gonna end well, right? Just Spartacus, like everything ever. Probably use a Rosh a lot too. It'll depend though. I'll put him in the back row though, just so I can switch him around nice and easy. It's not limit broken, and you can't get those anymore. God damn it. That is so lame. Why did they do that? And I only have the 1K scope. Well, that's gonna make a few problems. Just get another K-scope forehead. This account, though, already has so many ways to just... I don't even need a support to NP a million times on this account. I probably am going to pick Lantoria as my free 5-star on this account, because it's just kind of fun to get her as strong as possible, and I'll need the coins, so I might. We'll see. I mean, she's already NP5, so I don't know. It's a hard call. Especially if they ever add generic coins, then it would be a waste. By the way, this is the CE. You can buy this with rare prisms, and if you only buy 1 copy of it, which is normally enough, but you get 30% NP charge and then pierce invulnerability forever. If you limit break it, you get 50%. but that's obviously expensive as hell. Get that FP going. Yeah, it'd be cool to have a level 120 Lancer Artoria with all of her passives on this account. Do that and Herc. Those would be the two we'll focus on. Because I don't have Lancer Artoria on any other account, and I probably never will, so... Oh, fuck. His skill's not leveled up. I could use that other CE to fix that. Shit! Things already going wrong. Too much scuff over here. CS, yeah. Totally worth. Oh, this is only 2 waves anyway. This is what happens when... why did I do a Brave Chain? What am I doing? Yeah, I wonder if he's dead, guys. What else are we gonna grail over here? Probably Caesar. Probably grail a Rosh a little bit. Probably at least Rosh and Spartacus once each, probably. It's just fun to do that. And on an ult account, it's super easy to have enough grails to do that. Close one, yeah. I'll have to look at this account. We can kind of grail... I want to grail mostly stuff that I don't normally grail on my other accounts. That's the main goal. I remember this account got some rare stuff right off the bat. Oh yeah, we grailed Geronimo, and I'm totally okay with that. And then I think we were going to grail the book. At least to 90. I'm okay with that. Yeah, we should do the power through this then to get these grails. That's a good way to spend the last chunk of this event. We'll get mats while we're at it. I really should be playing this account more. It's a fun account, and it's pretty far into the story and everything. The main thing is, I've already done Lost Belt 6 recently, so I'm kind of just waiting to, like, once we haven't done Lost Belt 6 in a long time, and then, like, once Lost Belt 6 5, you know, it's been out for a while, they're like, hey guys, kind of out of nowhere when we have, like, a lull in content, we'll do those again on this account. That's kind of what I've been thinking. But this account is really strong, so, I mean, it could handle it. This account might actually use Q for Fluffy. I need to switch around my CEs, because if one of them needs to be able to turn 1 NP. Actually, I might even make a video out of Fluffy when I do it on the Herc account. That could be fun. I wouldn't mind making another Fluffy video. Pretty awesome that with her passives, Mordred can turn 1 NP with a 50% starting NP CE. It's very good. So then she gets really high damage, and she can just NP with no help. And if you want to, you know, use her with a support, she can actually double NP pretty easily because of her overcharge effect. And hell, you could do K-Scope, and not even MLB K-Scope, she could just vanilla K-Scope, turn 1 NP, get her overcharge effect, and then use her third skill and be at 50%. And then you have Waver, or Castoria, or Rain, whoever, with 50% battery, and then boom, you NP again. I don't think this account's gotten anyone's passives yet, like at all. Let me check real quick. I shouldn't be wasting time because we only have like 3.5 hours or whatever, but it should be okay. Oh my god, stop making me watch these long animations, game. It probably doesn't, because yeah, I haven't really, but I'll probably get it. Before I actually play this account, I'll probably get it, because I've got a lot of SQ over here. So she has 475. I think it's probably safe that I go ahead and buy these two, because this one's really niche, and I'd only buy it if I was Like, sure, if you're having to fight a ruler, it can be good if you're wanting to make her like your main thing, but I think getting these two is totally safe for her. What I'd like to roll on this account is something where like Hercules is rated up, or it's like Berserker Banner, or it's males only or something. That way I'd have a chance of getting Ku and Herc, because I obviously want to get Herc on this account. I'm gonna have to get him to bond 11 right now. It's the only way to get enough coins to get any of these, because he really wants, like, both of these are so good on him, because getting his NP faster is good because he doesn't get his NP easily. That's his one problem. And then he solos a lot and Last Man Stands a lot, so the extra attack damage is obviously really good. So he wants both of those. I'm not actually sure which one I would get first. I don't know. Like how Fionn can already get one. Oh my god, does this account... Oh my god. Oh my god, this account can just destroy Fluffy. Like I forgot we got spooked by Enkidu a bunch on this account. Oh my god, it can just destroy Fluffy right now. Because I can unlock that third skill. Not only do I have Enkidu, but I can unlock his third skill, which is anti-berserker damage, because, you know, he needs that. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And if I wanted to, I could pick, you know, like one of the OP supports for my free 5-star, right? I could pick Waver or Joan of Arc or another Enkidu, right? Kind of sucks I can't really make Spartacus work right now because I don't have his skill high enough. I guess I can get Ku Bond if we want to try to... Yeah, might as well try to get his passives a little bit easier that way. He's not gonna need his event CE. Or his bond CE. Not gonna really need any of this stuff though. Whatever. Back row don't matter. No, the free 5-star lasts forever. It's permanent. You can start playing the game a year from now and you can still get it. Let's see if Arash can do this. Probably. Man, I want a Lion King skin. That would be so 10 out of 10. Yeah, you can just start with Waver if you want to, but I actually don't think he's necessarily the best first pick. It kind of depends on what you want to do with the account. But I think for a lot of people, Enkidu or Ku Alter can be one of the best picks. Because it's easy enough to get really efficient at farming. All you gotta, if you really want to like get good farming, just level Arash and Spartacus. Like that's generally the main thing to do. And maybe Qin Gong, right? Stuff like that. But Waver's great. Obviously, Waver's great. He's good for challenge quests. He's good for farming. Like, he's really, really good. But a lot of stuff Waver will make easier are things you could do anyway. Where, like, if you pick Enkidu or Ku Alter, he can, like, bail you out and kill fast and, you know, against Fluffy and Lost Belt 6 and stuff. Where you might not have been able to do it at all otherwise. But, yeah, it just kind of depends on your priorities. Like, I think the top picks, though, from a pure practicality standpoint are Waver, Enkidu, Ku Alter, Joan of Arc. Maybe even Tam if you're really planning on doing art stuff. But those are definitely the really meta ones. But it's not bad to pick. It's absolutely not bad to pick like Artoria or Mordred, because they make farming a hell of a lot easier too, right? And if they're your favorite characters, I mean, they're not bad at all. It's totally fine. You know, Ozzy's gonna just destroy Demeter and almost any caster boss ever. So it's totally fine. I just slapped whatever CE on everybody. It doesn't matter. Like, were you not paying attention that whole time? Like, it literally doesn't matter. Because originally we weren't even using Lantoria, we're gonna use Spartacus. Like, oh no, chat, I don't have a super meta craft essence equipped, but I'm fighting enemies with 20k health. Oh no! Really, I really stand by this. I think for the majority of the player base right now, it's absolutely gonna vary. Why do I have Castoria on the team? What am I doing? I should have done Mordred. But anyway, for the overwhelming majority of the player base, I think the 5-star you should pick, like if it's your first account, you're just getting into the game, I think the thing you should pick is whatever you like, because the game is a lot more fun when you're using the servants that you like. And you only get to play through the story once, because we don't have story replay. And so if you're like, you know, oh man, Artoria was so cool in Fate's Day Night or whatever, and you want to use her and play through the story with her, do that! You're gonna have a much better time if you do that than picking like some meta support to 3-turn farming that is not fun anyway, right? Like, who cares, right? So, you know, it comes down to the individual. It comes down to what you want out of the game. Do you want to enjoy the story? Do you want to min-max? Like, what do you want to do, right? Because I think a lot of people get pressured. They feel like they need to min-max when they play any game that has a community. Because there's people out there that like min-maxing. There's people that like spreadsheets and they like being as efficient as possible and being a meta slave. Some people enjoy that, and that's fine. But a lot of times those people have like a disproportionate like impact on the community, and I think a lot of people get pressured into playing that way when they absolutely don't want to. And they actually a lot of times get burnt out, and they end up quitting games a lot sooner than they would have otherwise. And it happens all the time, like especially with MMOs and things like that. But I think it affects gacha games quite a bit. So just, you know, take a breath and be like, what do I want to do? Because if you're like, oh, I like being a meta slave, that's fine, and then do that. That's totally fine. But you know, I think for most people, they're gonna have more fun if they pick a 5-star that they just like, for God's sakes. And then, you know, you build teams around that. So you pick Artoria, for example, right? So she's Buster. So then, you know, okay, I should probably level Chin Gong, right? Because he's a free support for Buster. Maybe Shakespeare, right? Maybe, you know, Hans. You know, you get those units to help your favorite unit out, right? Or if you pick an art one, you level Mozart, stuff like that. You know, I think more people are going to have more fun that way. And if you want to get meta on the side as you go, to make when you do want to farm and stuff, make it smoother, then sure, right? That's, you know, obviously fine. But I think it's pretty dumb to be like, oh my god, Artoria is my favorite character, but I'm gonna pick Waver, right? And then maybe you never get Artoria, right? Like that's just dumb. Hey Boatless, what's up? The real meta here is summoning myself so I get FP. Because I need FP summons so I can summon Ku more. Because I want Ku coins. Because guess what, chat? He's my favorite character, and that's actually why I care about that, not because he's a meta 3-star. Although, he is also a really meta 3-star. How did that happen? Like, let's buff one of the already best 3-stars in the game 3 times. And what's silly is they're probably going to buff him again. Like, I hopefully not soon, but I really do think that's going to happen now. Now some idiot's going to be like, your NP doesn't do more damage when it's in 3rd place. Like, yeah, no kidding. The idea is to never use that NP. But it'd bail me out if I somehow didn't kill it. It's funny, I had a comment recently that I think was really wrong. They were like, yeah, Ku's a good 3-star, but even Grailed, he's not going to keep up with 5-star Lancers. And he's pretty much like all 3 stars, right? Like, are going to get, if you're going to get a gold eventually, that'll overshadow them. And I'm like, that is not true at all. And now that's true for a lot of 3-stars though. It really is, right? Like a lot of the 3-stars, even when Grailed, are not going to keep up with like their 5-star counterparts when they're like for like, right? Single target and quick and everything. Like that's actually true, right? But there's a couple of exceptions, and Ku is absolutely one of them. And I know this because I've compared, you know, 100 Ku to 100 Scath and 100 Enkidu and all the other fucking Lancers. And a lot of times he beats them. He doesn't always. They can beat him sometimes, absolutely. You know, 5 stars are damn good, but Ku is definitely one of the 3 stars that scales the best and is just Ku at 100 is absurd. I mean, if you have 2K, you know, foe, level 100, MP5, you know, he easily beats a lot of the 5 stars in the same scenario, which is crazy. The only other ones that really keep up like that, I don't think any are like Ku. I think Ku, I can say this because I've tested it so much. I think Ku is the best 3-star when it comes to, like, you know, being your, like, main Lancer or your main Saber if you're Bedivere or whatever. I think he is the best one. He scales the best. He is total bullshit when he's maxed out. But there are a few that do keep up. They're not as good as him, but like 100 Face is really good. Robin's good, but Robin's not, he's no Ku. He is absolutely no Ku, especially when you're, you know, sure, level 100 Robin and all that is great, but he really is not going to be on par with, like, Hot Wheels even and stuff like that. No, Ushi doesn't keep up either. Ushi's a lot like Robin, where, yeah, she's good. She's totally solid. All of those, like, good 3 stars when they're max grailed and stuff, all of them are good enough to get the job done. Absolutely. But they're, when compared directly to, like, the really, you know, really high-end, really good 5 stars, most of them are still going to fall behind, right? Like, they're good enough to get the job done, but they're not like, holy shit, look how good this is. But 100 Face can definitely keep up because she just loops so much, and she's got 50% crit down every time she NPs, which is just nonsense. Like, Ushi's up there, though. Like, Ushi's not, like, garbage or anything. And ever since her last buff, she's definitely, you know, closer to being, like, that level of disgusting. And David's a hard one to call because you don't really use David for an archer, right? You know, Ku is obviously there to kill archers, to kill berserkers because of his passive. That's another reason why Ku is just absolutely keeps up with the best of them for Lancers, is because of his 3rd passive. It's bullshit, right? It's like, now he's just godly against berserkers too. It's like, okay. Yeah, David is like, you're not using him necessarily for a saber killer. You know, it's like, yeah, it's a bonus, but you're mostly using him for the team utility. And in that case, you have to compare him to, like, Merlin. And Merlin's way better, obviously. There are a few exceptions because Merlin's invulnerability doesn't linger where the evade does. And sometimes that matters because of taunts or stuns and, you know, weird gimmicks in fights. But generally, Merlin is just way better than David, even though David is really, really good, obviously. But he doesn't really compare, right? But when you compare David to Brunhilde and Scath and stuff, he a lot of times is better than them, like, absolutely. No real reason to Arash and be here. I mean, David is a great unit, and if you don't have, here's the thing. A thing that was wrong with that guy's comment, in my opinion, is it's kind of faulty, because I'll see if I can find it real quick. I don't want to put words in this guy's mouth. But he's not rude or anything, it's just no problem, but I do think his, like, logic is off. If I can find the damn thing. This is a song right now. Okay, let's see. Where the hell? 'Cause it was a reply to somebody. Why there's so many fucking comments right now? Okay, there's too many replies, so I'll deal with this later. Anyway, but he was basically saying, you know, someone was like, oh man, Ku's so good, even, you know, when everyone's maxed out, you know, he still, it's like, you know, 5-star. Someone might say, oh, Ku's a hidden 5-star or whatever. And the guy was like, yeah, he is really good, but, you know, he's not really as good as a 5-star, even if everyone's grailed. But like that's really, like I said, just inaccurate. And I was gonna make a point about this specifically earlier that what was it? I don't there was something extra I was gonna add on to that. Oh, I know what it was. It's what he was saying is that he said, like, you're eventually going to get a gold, right? That's better than Ku, right? Like every other class, right? And that's where I really disagree, because not only does Q absolutely keep up with, you know, Scath and Kidu and all that crazy shit, but a lot of the, because he wasn't just talking about Q, he was talking about all the 3 stars, even though Q was like the example. There's a lot of stuff where you're not going, like Merlin's not just a gold caster. Merlin is a limited time 5-star gold caster that a lot of their player base is just never going to have, right? Because they may have started playing after he's rated up, or they didn't have enough SQ to get him, or they just got unlucky and they didn't get him, or they didn't want to roll in the first place, right? There's all kinds of reasons why you won't have Merlin, right? There's so many reasons you might not have Merlin. So that means you need David more and more, even though Merlin exists, right? And it's the same for all kinds of other classes, just because there are some golds that are better than some silvers, even when the silvers are grailed, of course, right? Of course, but that doesn't mean you're ever going to get them, right? Yeah, sure, you're probably going to get a gold Lancer at some point, but it might be like Booty Lancer, right? Or you might, you know, or you might get like Brunhilde, who has no survivability, and you might need survivability, right? It rarely are you going to guarantee, oh yeah, you're going to get a gold that's better than this thing eventually, right? Like that's not the case for a lot of the classes. Yeah, Merlin does make the game pretty easy mode, for sure. I don't think I need to cast half the shit I'm casting right now, but we probably will end up doing that second NP, though. I don't think that's enough damage. We'll see. I don't think I even cast the Mystic Code, so... Oh, and another one's Asclepius. There we go. That's probably the best example, actually, because even the higher rarity stuff that's very anti-debuff none of them are actually as anti-debuff as he is, right? Like the other options are Joan of Arc, Castor Artoria, and Medea Lily. Those are like your other options for anti-debuff. There's some other ones like Cersei and stuff, but those are the obvious ones. And they're good, and obviously sometimes they're better than Asclepius, because, you know, Castoria is just so universally strong. But if the challenge quest or whatever you're doing is really kicking your ass because of debuffs, Castor Artoria is more of like a bonus against debuffs. She helps with the debuffs, but she doesn't have like really good consistent anti-debuff, whereas Asclepius can just instantly remove all your debuffs with a skill. He doesn't even need his NP. And then he's got a giant debuff resistance, and then he gives everyone debuff immunity, right? Like, there's way more anti-debuff in his kit than in Castor Artoria's. Now, obviously, Castor Artoria has a lot of... No, not BB. BB's shit. She's a targeted one anti-debuff, right? That, like, yeah, it's better than nothing, but that's not in the same boat as Medea Lily or Joan of Arc or Asclepius. Like, not even close. I see that troll attempt, Cobb. It is funny that everyone says BB's god tier, that almost nobody actually uses BB. Like, she's really rare these days. She's useful though. She is absolutely useful. Like, she does have practical use. It's just pretty far and few and far between. That's the one. Nope, not like Baldi, Cairo. Well, Baldi's not useful ever. Don't get your hopes up. Feels bad to say, but I don't think there's... Wow, I can't believe she didn't kill there. I should have charisma'd. But I don't think there's ever been a stage where Baldi was, like, better than his competition. Ever. Like, at best, there's just stages where he can work. But it's not that he's meta, or he's needed, or he's, like, excelling over his comp. I don't think there's a single stage in the game like that. There's some that are close. Like, I think he could be good against Achilles, and things like that. There's if the fight incentivizes normal card damage, then it's good. But most of the fights where it incentivizes normal card damage, it hasn't been a Lancer fight. There really hasn't been a fight where it's like, oh yeah, NPs suck, you need to do normal card damage, critting is important, and then they're an archer or a berserker or something. Like, it's normally something else, so. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that want Baldi's Final Ascension as a costume. I don't see why not, you know, it's not even hard to implement, but they don't give us a lot of the costumes. We don't have Drake Alter, we don't have Corrupted Ushi, we don't have Lion King. I'm sure there's more. Minotaur, we don't have Minotaur. You know, their art Essex already exist, and they're just recolors and reskins. I know some people want Minotaur a lot. I'm not sure I would use it. He's like, he's a little out there for me, right? Like, obviously you'd scale him down so he'd be like the same size and stuff, but the issue is not the size. Have you seen how much fluff there is on that thing? And then like he's got like this like the psycho look and like, you know, super pale, and he's got like blood in his horns, like in his horns, right? It's like got like veins in his horns, right? Well, it's kind of weird, right? I get that some people like it, and like his halberds are insane, right? Like Asterios' halberds are too big for my taste. Like I really only like his stage 1 halberds, whereas stage 2 and 3 they're too big, and they're even bigger on Minotaur. Like Minotaur's halberds are just like, he's got like buildings in each hand, right? It's completely ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not sure I would use it if it was added. I still think it should be added, right? There's no reason for it not to be, but. Well, I can't give myself FP right now. Feels bad. Yeah, really, when I think about it, 3 stars are pretty irreplaceable for a lot of free-to-plays, because you may never get a good single target assassin, right? Like you may never get Jack or Kama, and then 100 face, you know, and then if you want to go the extra mile, you Grailer, then you have like completely competent, capable assassin for even the hardest content. You know, you have Gray for AoE, although I guess it's welfare, so you might miss it, but yeah, AoE is a bit rougher for assassins, because Fuma's good, but he's more about the utility. You know, he doesn't have like a battery or any of that, but he'd be okay if you had to. But yeah, you never know, like, you know, what you're going to be lacking on your account, and even if you get a gold, it's totally possible that gold is worse than some of the silvers. Not every gold is better than every silver, like no way. 2000 HP skeleton indeed. I think you fight him again later, like a joke. Chat, can you believe I did that stage and I didn't give Lancer or Toria a buster starting in PCE? Can you believe that, chat? We were to overkilled it by like, you know, 300 more damage. Really important. Actually, I should use Nidochris. Oh, I should have swapped him around, because she'd be helpful here. Like, she NPs right away. I don't know why I'm used to doing the dragon, and so I do the Stargen skill, because against the dragon, you know, 1 extra star can actually be useful, but this is not the dragon. I can't believe you won this stage without Merlin. So incredible. I gotta upload it to YouTube, guys. Look at the story support being useful. Does she have her buff? She does. Which is interesting because the buff didn't exist in the original event. You know, her costume from the Waltz event was pretty cool. It's unfortunate that she doesn't have an animation update though, so it looks a little odd. Her sprite's okay though. Like, you know, Camelot and On is when they started getting better, and so it's not that bad. It's not. Serenity's looks worse, even though she was added about the same time, because I think they're both Camelot. But Serenity Sprite, I don't think they put as much effort into, and it still has a bit of like the big head syndrome and all that. Maybe they'll give them animation updates in the rerun of the Idol event, but they're probably not going to rerun the Idol event for an absurd amount of time. We still haven't reran case files, so... Those didn't even exist back then. I guess it is good that I'm zerging this event at the last second, because the mats are nice. The Herc account doesn't really need them too bad, but you never know. I think we might get a Lion King costume if they ever have an excuse to do it, right? Because they didn't add UHZ until they had an excuse to do it. And then they did, right? And same for Testament, right? Those took no work because they already existed, but they didn't add them for ages, and they didn't do it until like they just had an excuse to do so, right? Testament didn't happen until they did like the rerun of the Ilya event. UHZ didn't happen until MHX was in the Saber Wars in a really prominent way again. So I think it's the same thing for Lion King. If they ever have an excuse to do it, they'll probably do it. But if they never get an excuse to do it, they'll probably never bother, because that's the same with Drake Alter and all the other ones. You actually do get a sane Caligula voice line if you beat Lost Belt 5. But it's only in my room, it's not in gameplay or anything. I actually like his insane lines more, just because it fits the animations really good, and his voice actor just does such a good job. I mean, like, the NP line is just incredible. But they should absolutely do Sane Caligula as an option, because it changes the character dramatically. Like, his personality is so different. And some people prefer that, and that's totally fine, right? So by all means, I'd be okay with them adding that. I would make it, though, if to get Sane Caligula, you should have to beat Lost Belt 5. Like, you should be able to get it before that. The thing about Lost Belt 5 Drake, though, is that's not actually in-game. It's just a story sprite. But like with Drake Alter, the sprite already exists. The animations exist, right? It's already done, right? Same for Corrupted Ushi. They literally did the animation update for Corrupted Ushi when they did. It's only in the story, right? When you face the AI Corrupted Ushi, they did the animation update and the like anime cut in and all that. Same for Lion King. Her new NP's got that sprite that shows up at at the end, right? Like they literally made a Lion King version of that. And everything else. So like the work's been done, right? So it's like you might as well add it. Where it's like some of the other costumes, like Mordred's suit, or Drake's look in Lost Belt 5, or Summer Bedivere, right? They exist in the design, but they don't exist in game. Where quite a few costumes literally exist in game, and they just don't let the players get them because they hate us. Yeah, it's from, I've seen it in Fate Extella. I'd actually be happy if we got a Fate Extella collab. I don't even like Fate Extella. I think it's like incredibly shallow gameplay, incredibly shallow story. Like there's so much wrong with it, but I'd still be happy if we got a collab, because it'd be a chance to get like Carl and Charlemagne and things like that, or maybe a Darius animation update. So just the opportunity for that, I think would be worth it. You know what? I was gonna Arash NP here, because then I could bring in like my unit from the back. But let's let Hercules do Hercules things here. Not bad for only one Buster card, and not NPing or any of that. That's decent. Let's see how Lancer Artoria does here. I should have given Herc the attack up. That would have been cooler. He probably would have gotten to like 48k, maybe 50k, something like that. And Nero's got a lot of costumes. Yeah, Archimedes, I think the reason he's not in, because I've really noticed this, they don't add major antagonists unless they can make them a major antagonist in the game. Like that, just like I don't think they've ever added like a super major antagonist. If that's not the case, aside from like day one, right? Like units that were in day one. But they generally wait to use them until they can be like a big deal. Like, you know, they didn't want to add Kiara until she was going to be a big deal. They didn't want to just randomly rate up Kiara, right? Where they'll sometimes randomly add other things, right? Like, you know, like Semiramis and things like that. But yeah, the super big, Mango's not a major bad guy though. Like that's not the same thing. And also when he was added, he was still a major part of the event, right? And that, he got added because of the event story, and that was a major story. It wasn't a side joke story, right? It was a serious one. But Angra's not a major antagonist, right? Like I guess he is in Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, Heaven's Feel, Fate Zero, you know, those, but you don't really know, right? It's not really the same thing, but you know, he's like the thing behind everything. You just don't really realize it until I guess Heaven's Feel. But he's like a protagonist of Fate Hollow. Because even at the end, you know, when you kind of realize he's kind of the protagonist and the antagonist, right? And that's kind of the point. But like at the very end, you know, he saves the day and all that. So. But yeah, I don't see them adding Buddha or Archimedes or any of that stuff unless they've got a reason to make them a big, you know, part of the story, be it a major event or the main story. But if they did an Extella collab, you know, they'd probably make Carl the big bad guy of the collab, right? And then they'd probably get added then, so. I think Buddha's got a chance, though, of getting in without having a story dedicated to him, just because of the Extella remake. Maybe they'd add him for that, so he's got a chance there. And who knows, maybe they'll do a major event to tie into the remake, but I have my doubts about that. I'm so mixed about Hollow. Like, it has a lot of like the same writing, like trope problems that I don't really like in Fate Stay Night, and there's some like logical inconsistencies and whatnot. And when it gets silly, it's so silly. I don't even care. But some of the serious parts are really cool, and some of like the conversations between characters, like the conversation between Medusa and Angra, is really interesting and stuff. So it's like half of it I think is awesome, and half of it I'm just like, okay, whatever. But like one thing I like about it, although it's sad that this is the case, but because of the loopy stuff, they're kind of free to have some fight scenes that don't have plot armor, where they never really do that in Fate Stay Night. But like, you know, Artoria getting sniped by Imiya, right, and just getting obliterated, that's not going to happen in Fate Stay Night, right, because the story's ruined, right? But because of like the nature of Fate Hollow, they're allowed to have some like, you know, more practical things happen that wouldn't happen otherwise, and that's nice to see. If Sora can get into Smash, Buddha can get into FGO. I would hope so. I think if there's a way I can make this better. Will we have to Orochian P? And if we... No, okay, I think we got it. I've seen people that are just like, they see Fate Hollow as Artoria's ultimately like better than Imiya and like can beat Imiya, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? I don't know how anyone could read Fate Hollow and that's their takeaway. But I've seen it many times. I mean, many times. I think it's just Artoria fan copium. It's like, oh, but she gets him at the end. It's like, yeah, because they have prior knowledge from, you know, time loops. And then she had a command spell from her master. I mean, Rin's not even there, for God's sakes, to help Imiya out. And so when they fight legit, you know, no time loopy bullshit, and they just fight, Imiya wins immediately, right? And there's literally nothing she could do about it, right? She doesn't have clairvoyance. Shiro doesn't have clairvoyance. There's no way they would know it's coming. And that's the advantage of the archer class. And she got obliterated, right? She has no way of countering it. And that's that. And everybody tries like, oh man, look, she just wrecked him. It's like, not exactly. And I think what happened is I'm not even sure. I think some people only watch it on YouTube and they don't actually, you know, read the story. And I think on YouTube, only the fight, you know, after, you know, several loops where she's died to Imiya, I think they just posted the one loop where she eventually wins, and that's the only one I think that's on YouTube. At least that you can find easily, right? I think the whole visual novel might be on YouTube now, but like the one that you can find easily, like just the scene, is that one. And I got that skeleton again, boys. But yeah, you don't, or Toria doesn't normally get knowledge from, you know, prior time loops and then a free command spell, right? That doesn't, not really how that goes. Bob the skeleton. He was just trying to chill, man. There's really no reason to NP this. I was like, oh man, they're archers, but they have 10,000 health. Can Arash do 10k? Yeah, he's got charisma. He's like 7. Oh, never mind. He just one-shotted. Okay. Underestimating Arash there. I guess he had the Buster Chain too, that's why. Look at all that damage. Rosh doesn't even have a death animation anymore, man. Oh yeah, this stage, right. Probably should have saved that Stella. Might have a bit of an issue here. Herc has a Buster card, it's fine. He does not. Well. Why couldn't Herc have a Buster card? He'd triple attack up. First card Buster bonus. I probably would have done it. Probably would have hit for like 26k or something. Maybe 30. Yeah, he'd have gotten it. That is not true. There are many examples of servants being stronger than each other. Like that is one of the dumbest comments I've ever read. So this is a thing I remember in like the Gundam community. I like people, because you know Gundam has like their own like, you know, character material books and stuff, and they put out like, you know, the exact specs of the mechs. Now the anime a lot of times wouldn't follow the specs, but you know, they'd show like how much thrust power they had, how thick their armor was, you know, those things they put down on paper and stuff. And people were always saying in the Gundam community, like, oh, it doesn't matter how good the mech is, it's just how good the pilot is. That's bullshit. That's utter bullshit. Like, sure, how, you know, in real life, it's like saying the tank doesn't matter, like a real life tank or a jet fighter. What matters is the pilot. That's horse malarkey, right? Like, sure, let's say you've got two tanks that are pretty comparable, but one's weaker than the other. You know, it's a weaker tank, but the crew of the tank is way better than the other crew. They'll probably win. Like, sure, but that's because the tanks are they're at least in striking distance of each other, right? Like they're remotely in the same ballpark, right? Meanwhile, you might have like a modern like Abrams tank versus a fucking like World War II tank. It doesn't matter if the World War II tank has like an elite crew and the other one's just like, you know, fresh out of the academy. It don't fucking matter. The spec difference there is so unbelievably different that like the machine absolutely makes a difference. It's like the pilot is worth X amount of points and the machine is worth X amount of points. And it goes for like everything. Same for servants, right? There's no world where Phantom of the Opera is beating like, you know, Gilgamesh. Although if you give him enough plot armor, you know, you can accomplish that. But that's the power of the pen, right? That applies to anybody. Like there's so many examples of servants being one very similar to each other and then one's just better. right? Or you know, one has just got, you know, way more options. You know, Gil has like all the items to Gate of Babylon, and you know, Karna's got super offense, even if he doesn't want to use his Omega Nuke, right? And he's got super defense with the armor. He's just objectively better than a lot of servants. And also, like he's saying, you know, Emiya beating Gil when he never does that. I don't even, where does this even come from? It's weird because it's like so common that people act like Emiya beats Gil, even though he never does that. And Shiro never does it either. That's always their example. Is go, if Shiro can do it, Emiya can do it. But Shiro never even beats Gil. Like, do people miss that part? It's like, it's so weird that people think Shiro beats Gil when, like, that never happened. Like, he ran out of mana and got bailed out by Emiya, right? There was no, like, oh, he just killed Gil. That literally never happened. And then, never mind him not actually killing him, you know, Nasu himself said even with Shiro doing as well as he did, that only happens because Gil's being prideful. Like, Nasu says those exact words. There's no world where Emiya's like stronger than Gil. It's just Gil being a fucking moron. And that can happen, you know, and then, you know, plot armor. Zig beat Karna, okay? This does not mean Zig is stronger than Karna, right? Because, you know, Zig's got, you know, galvanization from, what's her name? Frankenstein. He's got the command spells boosting him up. He got help from Achilles and Trap Face. You know, he's not beating Karna in like a fair fight, right? And same thing for Shiro. He's getting help from all kinds of sources. Gil's being a moron, not using his armor, and not using his non-blades, and, you know, so on and so forth. You know, it's just context. It's just the writer being like, oh, Zig's gotta win! So this is something I've seen over the years. People look for reasons to try to say that Shiro it beats Gil legit when, I mean, he doesn't. And Nasu, the writer, has said that, you know, Shiro could not beat Gil if it's a, you know, a proper serious fight. You know, he straight up says Gil only dies on Limited Blade Works because of his pride, and that's obvious if you read the damn story. But anyway, but so Shiro fans and like are always trying to say, you know, Shiro is, you know, there's no plot armor, guys. I see that all the time. There's no plot armor. Like, if you go to like videos on YouTube of Shiro versus Gilgamesh, you'll have comments of people saying, "Oh my God, the plot armor." And there's always this army of Shiro fans in the replies that are like, "There's no plot armor here. Just read the story. You don't understand." There's always that. But then for Karna, it's not like that at all. Nobody, and I think I know why. So one, Shiro is just a lot more popular than Zig because, you know, Zig's cardboard and Zig's not. Especially by NA. NA doesn't like Zig very much. JP actually likes Zig, and there probably are Japanese comments out there where people defend Zig and say Zig's the strongest and so on and so forth. But overwhelmingly, NA does not defend Zig for being like, oh yeah, this is clearly plot armor and just, you know, everything's contrived to make sure Zig wins and Karna's way stronger. Everybody says that. But the reason why, like, it's split with the Shiro Gilgamesh is because a lot of people don't like Gilgamesh, and they want and they love Shiro, and Shiro's like their you know, spirit animal apparently, and they got to defend his honor because, you know, fictional characters, by the way. But yeah, with Zig and Karna, it's like the other way around. Everybody likes Karna, and most people don't like Zig, so they're happy to, you know, look for evidence to support that, you know, Karna is getting plot armored, which he is. They're both getting plot armored out of existence, but yeah, that's such a thing, man. Like, I actually think there's more plot armor for Shiro than Zig. Like, absolutely. Like, there's plenty of plot armor for both, don't get me wrong. It's not like Zig doesn't have plot armor, he absolutely does, but I think Shiro definitely has the greater amount there. He's like, Zig is like a plot armor A+, and Shiro is like plot armor like either A triple plus or EX. I'm not sure he's in EX territory. I think it has to be even more blatant for EX. EX plot armor is when, like, you know, everything in the story says when this character gets stabbed by a knife, it should hurt them, but then for like no reason their skin is so thick now that the knife breaks, right? And there's no explanation at all, like not even the tiniest amount. That's EX, right? And no joke, I know a show like that. It's called Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing absolutely has plot armor EX. It is so bad at some points. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, there is like, it's not even Hero. It's not even Hero, dude. I don't know where to start with Gundam Wing plot armor. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, there are these mass-produced, you know, like grunts, mechs in that.
they have these energy shields that are consistently shown to be able to block energy weapons, right? And like early on, they show a mech that has like 8 of these energy shields can block like some of the strongest, like, you know, gun attacks in the series. And then later on, they have a weaker gun going up against even more shields, like way more than 8. It's like there's like a bunch of these mechs working together and they have like 100 shields or something. And a weaker gun somehow penetrates all the shields and kills all of them. And it's because like the main characters are in a bad spot and they were about to all die. And this weaker gun literally kills all of them just instantly. And it's like, what? And there's so many instances of like, just like one mech that's shown to be stronger than another mech, or having armor that is strong enough to block something, but then all of a sudden it can't block it. Or then a mech, like the weakest mech in that show, is shown to not be able to block something, and then when a main character is in it, then it can block it for just no reason. It's like, Gundam Wing is so full of that. It is a nightmare. Like if you like internal consistency, and like, you know, logic in your fantasy or your show, you'll fucking hate that series because it is like the worst I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen worse plot armor than in Gundam Wing. I think if I was gonna like just pick an example of, you know, plot armor EX, it would be Gundam Wing. Seed's not half as bad. Seed is bad. Like, Seed is only bad every once in a while, right? Like, Seed is, like, fairly consistent, but then every once in a while, you know, their main character gets into a bad way, and they just like, oh, he just, somehow survived that, guys! You know, so it's bad. Like, I would say, like, Gundam Seed is, like, normally, you know, plot armor, like, B, and then it like, spikes up to, like, A+ every once in a while, where Gundam Wing is pretty consistently plot armor EX all of the time. It is really bad. I don't think you've seen Gundam Wing yet, Cairo, and if you ever watch it, I think you'll see what I'm talking about pretty quickly. Like, there is no consistency in that show at all. There are things about Gundam Wing that are good though. Like it has an interesting plot. You know, there's no like, none of the factions are like boogeymen. Like even the factions they want you to think are morally black end up not being morally black. You know, it's got amazing music, right? You know, the villains are really cool and like with their motivations and stuff. So there's plenty of positives about Gundam Wing, but there is no logical consistency with the universe, like at all. It's super bad. I really tuned out of Fairy Tail pretty early on because, you know, just what's that genre called? Shonen? Yeah, that's the one. You know, they get really kind of boring and generic pretty fast, but it didn't. I don't know if it early on. I don't remember it having that much plot armor. It was more like they just, you know, LOL power ups all the time. But it probably got a lot worse as it went. So I didn't watch like the later stuff. And I don't remember it well enough to have an opinion. Okay, I will say that Nero has EX plot armor. In the games, a lot of it's not shown, but it's like there's no way she could beat Gwen and things like that. But then when they made Last Encore, that's just... They literally changed how Gwen's NP works fundamentally, and then right after the anime, they switched it right back to what it was. And they never explained that. They just randomly changed Gwen's NP. And even with them doing that, she still shouldn't have been able to survive, right? They still just, you know, pulled it out of their ass, you know. I don't know how... It's like they know in advance, like, so much. Like, Gwen was such a known part of the story. You think they could have come up with a better way of making that fight make sense. Like, no, just have her block it with her hands and then fall into a crack in the earth, and that somehow means she survives. It's like, what? Like what? like how is that what you wrote? She blocks a noble phantasm with her bare hands, and then somehow falls into a crack in the ground, and then she lives. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they don't explain it. It's not like the next episode they do like a big exposition dump. Nope. Still not as bad as Gundam Wing though. Still not as bad as Gundam Wing. Like not. Just imagine stuff like that, but all the time. Like all of the time. I would like to see a long-running anime like a shonen where they didn't have absurd power scaling. Like use your brain and plan ahead, for God's sakes, right? Like plan out many arcs in advance and then think about your power scaling from the beginning, right? Be like, okay, no one's going over 10. So guess what? The main character doesn't get to 10 in the second arc, right? He's like a 5 and he can stay as a 5 for a really long time. And the difference between a 5 and a 10 doesn't need to be that big, right? You can make it so let's say your first villain, let's say you have an anime or whatever, and your very first villain is going to be a 6 on your power scale, right? From if you're going 1 to 10, you're going to make your first villain a 6. So what you do is you make it so it's actually possible, if they're really smart or they have help or whatever, that a 6 could actually beat a 10. Like sure, if they just, you know, fair fight, head on, no strategy, 6 versus 10, the 10's gonna win. But you make it so the 6 is within punching distance of the 10. Because it's not, I don't understand why you have so many anime and stuff or you know, manga or whatever, where it's like you have it where the power scaling gets so out of control, where like the side characters or whatever, when you punch the bad guy, they don't even make them flinch. That's not entertaining, right? No one wants to watch that. That's so boring, right? Like if everything's in punching distance of each other, there's way more tension. You can have way more side characters be relevant. You can have side bad guys actually fight side good guys and have things make sense. You know, because what happens a lot is like they'll make the new bad guy, and the new bad guy's in 100, so obviously a 6 can't touch that. And because they want the minions to not be a complete pushover to the main character, the minions are like 60s. So the main bad guy's in 100, his minions are 60s, and then, you know, the main character right now is maybe a 75 or something, right? That's what they want. But then that means all your side characters from the past that are like 9s, they can't do anything. And that happens in a lot of anime. It's like, who designs this? It's not even hard to fix. You don't need to be constantly escalating your power like this. Like, you can make entertaining, you know, stories and have interesting fights between characters and have, you know, interesting dynamics in arcs and everything, and you don't need people constantly being a 10 and then an 11, then a 50, and then a 55, and then a 100, and then 200, and then 1,000. You don't need, like, that's completely unnecessary. I feel like it's literally just bad writing where they don't know how to, like, you know, up and lower the stakes up and down without just making everything stronger. They don't know how to make a scenario more tense because, oh my god, you know, this important character's been kidnapped and that's the problem, or the economy's at stake, or that guy actually died, right? Like, that's how you make stakes. It doesn't need to be, oh yeah, this bad guy, his dick is 5 inches bigger than the other bad guy's dick. You don't need, that's not how you make it more tense, right? You know, tension comes from, you know, interactions and building things up and this, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, then the stakes, you know, like a lot of like classic movies like Hitchcock and stuff, how they built tension, it has nothing to do with the bad guy having a bigger gun, right? Like that's not how you do that, right? Like, are you fucking kidding me? But yeah, anime's really bad about that. Like I at least shonen anyway. I guess it's not every anime, but shonen is absolutely bad about that. FGO's actually been kind of okay with it. They're starting to get kind of bad with it though. I think now they're like, oh, we have to one up everything. But like early on in FGO, I mean, Tiamat was stronger than Guaidia, and the stuff right after Guaidia was not stronger than him, like at all, not even close. But I mean, also even said in an interview a long time ago that he wanted the ending of 2.0 to one up the ending of 1.0, and even mentioned how powerful Guaidia was, and like how, you know, that'd be hard to do. But like that, you know, that kind of writing I'm not a fan of. But FGO for the most part has been okay about that. Like Fluffy is not stronger than most of the bad guys we've seen before him at all. Like, you know, he's strong, you know, he's a planetary threat, but I mean, half the shit we've seen throughout the Nasuverse, be it an FGO or not, is more than a planetary threat, right? So it's not like, you know, Fluffy didn't one-up anything, and most stuff don't one-up anything. Like even Morgan, people exaggerate about Morgan so much. Like, I think Morgan is one of the most exaggerated characters by the fandom, and it's because they like her so much. It's because she's my waifu, so they want her to be like, you know, destroying the earth with her pinky or something. Do I need to NP here? Kind of, but it's too late now. That's actually one of my least favorite things about anime, though, is just power scaling when it comes to like action. Because action's great. I like, you know, good choreography and all of that. That can be very enjoyable. But the anime is like so amateur when it comes to dealing with that kind of stuff. And again, there's exceptions, but the power scaling issue is very common in anime, even if it's not shown in. Let's see what Herc can do here. We're not gonna kill the 60k one though. I guess we'll have to target split. We might kill them both. I mean, it's not exactly 12 Rongo Bongos. It doesn't really work that way. They're not like literally Rongo Bongo that do the exact same thing. Like, it doesn't work that way. Right on the button. He had 38k and we did 38k. It's kind of like, if this is not how Morgan is, but let's say Artoria had 12 Excaliburs, that wouldn't do anything. Like, why would that even matter? What, are you gonna put one in your mouth and hold one in each hand and foot? Like, you don't even, like, what, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? But that's not even how Morgan's Rongo Bongos work. It's more like a spell version of it. Okay, so that was all of part 2. So we got one more to go. How many grails do we have? Because that's why I'm doing this. 20. So this will get us to 21. And then we got Lost Belt 6 that we can still get a grail from. Yeah, it's definitely worth doing. Because I got a lot of weird stuff I want to try grailing on this account. Actually, it could grail Herc, but it's actually better to get his passives right now. At least the extra attack one. Like, that one is really big on Herc. Man, they make you story support so much here. But Herc solos so much that you're going to be doing that extra attack every turn. And if you're applying that bonus damage from the extra attack again and again and again and again, that's a pretty big deal. Although the level ups make all your normal cards do more damage and the extra attack. So, and sometimes also if you get hurt to like 110 or 120 or whatever, the extra health means you die one turn later. So it's really good either way. The goal for this account is to get both, really. We want those extra attack stat, and we want the extra attack, and we want to get our NP sooner. So all of the things. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, 120 is pretty disgusting on Herc because he does BBB chains. And BBB chains really like the unit to have a higher attack stat. So actually just going to like 110 on him is pretty busted, but we'll see. I'm hoping we just get a free 4-star at some point and I can just pick Herc. I think where like power scaling has started to get kind of stupid in the Nasu verse though is like Tsukihime. Like, I think Nasu even said this. He basically wanted to power up Tsukihime so it wasn't so behind Fate. But that literally breaks the entire like point of the like a lot of the established stuff in the universe. And it's not necessary because Fate stuff's not in Tsukihime. So it's like it's just like an arbitrary thing, like, and it just, again, it's like just straight power creep where there's like, oh yeah, let's just randomly make everything Tsukihime stronger now. It's like, okay. I don't remember how long this part is. I think this part's actually pretty long. I think part 2 might be the longest though, but we'll see. I mean, it does matter because like the whole thing about like magecraft getting weaker over time and the mystery wearing off and all that, that's all established stuff, a part of the Nasuverse. So it's literally like making the rules and then way down the line breaking them just to make the new relevant thing cooler, right? And I hate that kind of storytelling because it's not future proof because you just keep doing it and you ruin your entire universe. It's like, how do I put this? It's where like you establish something and it was really relevant for that story at the time. Let's say you make book 1, right? Like, or Fate Stay Night or whatever, right? They're old work, right? And you establish a bunch of stuff and that stuff is relevant for that story and it matters for that story and things happen in that story because of it. Like Herc being so strong and everything. And then, 10 years later, you make, all these stories along the way and you make a new story 10 years later and you want the new thing and the new character you made for this to be all end all now because that's what people are focusing on now. And so you just shit on everything you said and did in Fates Tonight, like, oh, this thing's way stronger than Hercules and blah 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 blah. That so belittles what you did before and makes it that's shitty. And then when they're doing that 10 years from now or 5 years from now or even a year from now, they're just gonna do it again. And so the things they're saying now are just gonna be irrelevant later. And then so why should I care about it now if you're just gonna make it like, and the Nasuverse has been really bad about that with a lot of stuff, where they make up a new rule, and they have to build everything around that new rule just for that one story, right? Like, oh, oh, I want to be able to summon like, a god now, so now gods can be summoned, right? And they made a bunch of arbitrary, made up horseshit just so they could do that, and now everything has to like work around that now. But all the older works didn't accommodate for that, so you couldn't summon gods then, but now you can. And then 5 years or whenever when they make more stories, they just make up other new stuff, and then any old rules that are in the way, they'll just make some new arbitrary, like, oh, but no, because if this and this happens, then it never ends, right? And so at that point, why are you even making rules? Why are you even making ground rules? Why are we so? Because Fate is always wanting to have its cake and eat it too, right? It wants people to care about the rules because Nasa goes on these long-winded explanations of like how the powers work and like why they have enough mana or they don't have enough mana and all these things. So and then put out character material books. They want people to care about like the nitty gritty, but anytime the nitty gritty gets in the way of like, oh, I made this new waifu and I want them to be the most important thing, even though it makes no sense for them to be, so I'll just make up some new thing and now they're the most important thing. And they just do that over and over and over again, and obviously like that picks away and wears away at your own universe and at your own internal logic. You cheapen it when you do that. And like a lot of this stuff, and I think the Tsukihime remake is absolutely doing that. I think it weakens the universe as a whole, and I think it hurts Tsukihime specifically because it's so ass-pully, and it's like the reason for doing it has nothing to do with good storytelling. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's more like trying to get the fans. Oh, this thing's so strong and blah 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 blah. Like I don't need Sanson to get a power boost for no reason. I don't need them to reboot FGO 20 years from now and then Sanson, because he's going to be important in the story, gets to be like 10 times stronger. I don't need that. How about you just write the character well, right? That's what I need. Because for those who don't know, Sanson's one of my favorite characters. That sentence didn't make a lot of sense if I didn't explain that. But like, I like Sanson, but I don't need Sanson to be stronger than, God Juna. Like, I like Sanson more than God Juna, but it's stupid. It'd be stupid if Sanson was stronger than God Juna, right? That's so dumb. But they're constantly doing shit like that. Yeah, they're really on about these story supports here. And like, for example, let's say you wanted to make Sanson a main character. Let's say you're writing, Fate Executioner, right? Like new book. or manga or whatever, right? And you want Sanson to be the main character. You don't just arbitrarily come up with some stupid bullshit to make sense. Oh, this whole time Sanson Saint Graph wasn't being summoned properly, but now it is, and now look how much. No, you don't do that, right? You just make the story. You don't have whatever story you put him in, whatever the context is. You don't fill it up with a million servants that he couldn't possibly deal with, or you don't put Ort. You don't make the main bad guy Ort. If your main character is going to be Sanson and Sanson needs to be important, right? You don't do that. Just write a different story, Einstein, right? Pick a different cast, right? It's literally not even hard to make Sanson the main character if you want to, because the Nasu verse does have so much variety and different things you can do with it. Like we don't need fucking Shiki from K&K, just randomly getting a power boost to be stronger than Enkidu, right? You don't need that to make a good story with Shiki. And look, they made a good story with Shiki, and it involved the more normal stuff in the Nasu verse, and it was fine. And look, I'm gonna be honest. I think K&K is one of the best Type Moon stories. I think it's, in terms of like writing quality and everything, I think it's better than most Type Moon stories, and by a lot. Even though it doesn't have my favorite characters in it, and it has like the most, it's like the most normal Nasuverse stuff. There's no super, it's it's like the mundane stuff. It's the everyday stuff you will run into in the Nasuverse. Like zombies are some of the strongest things in K&K, and zombies are a bitch, right? In compared to like Notes or Fate Stay Night, the servants and stuff. But the thing is, the servants in Fate Stay Night only get summoned like every 10 years, right? They're hardly ever there. And normally it is just the zombies and stupid shit, right? And so I don't need them to remake K&K, and now the zombies and mages are now 50 times stronger, so they're as strong as Fate stuff. That's stupid, right? That defeats the whole point of all this. It's like, yeah, remember that super crazy thing that happened every 10 years where servants got summoned and they're just unbelievably powerful? Yeah, now the universe is just that strong all the time, so those servants getting summoned every 10 years it doesn't really even matter now, right? Like, it's just dumb, right? Like, K&K is good, and it doesn't need bullshit power scaling for it to be good, right? It doesn't need that at all. It's in many ways it's actually better because of that. Like, a big part of that was like that one bad guy was trying to avoid servants being summoned because they're so powerful and they would wreck him. So it's like that's like part of the story, and like as they like have escalated the non-Fate stuff, it's just shit doesn't even make sense anymore. Let's see. I think K&K is like the best example of what I'm talking about, because it's so unnecessary for K&K to get a power boost. And it's the same thing for Tsukihime. But they're just arbitrarily power boosting it because they want, everyone that's Arca Wade is their waifu. You gotta make sure she's just the strongest thing ever, guys. Because you couldn't possibly like a character if they can't blow up the planet. I'm not gonna lie, I never really got why Arca Wade was popular. Like, I don't really hate her, but I've never understood why she was popular. Not really that interesting of a character, to be honest. Tits? Yeah, I guess that does normally get the job done. But like, what's her name? Is it CL or CCL or whatever the fuck her name is? I don't think she's a 10 out of 10 character either, but she's a bit more interesting, but she's way less popular. I don't really get it. Honestly though, K&K, I just find most of the cast boring. I don't... like, the male Shiki is super boring. The only characters I really like in Tsukihime were like, Nero, not that Nero. He was okay. He got like no screen time though. Some of the villains were cool, but they didn't ever get enough screen time. So yeah, I never really liked Tsukihime that much. The cast was just so eh. There's too much romance bullshit, but welcome to old visual novels. Yeah, no, they got rid of Nero. He's not in Melty Blood either. I wonder if they will remake K&K someday. I kind of hope they don't. Like, it is totally fine as it is. Yeah, I don't think they had time to like really flush it out like they wanted to, so they'll probably just use them later for something else. Didn't they like not even have all the routes done? Like I think they only have like 2 routes done or something. Dude, I have like no interest in reading the remake like, at all. Because it takes out the few things I care about, and like I'm like, Shiki sucks, dude. Like, female Shiki's fine, right? She's a good character, but dude, the regular, like the male Shiki is such a boring, lame fucking character that I don't care about Arcade and all that at all. So like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, it's only like fan translated. I don't think it's even finished. Yeah, Type Moon is always like, they're pretty anti-NA half the time. Like they pretty much never bring their stuff to NA. Whenever their stuff comes to NA, it's because of publishers. So. And yeah, it's kind of dumb to blame FGO when FGO is in NA, and like the whole point of localizing is you don't do it. Like you hire someone else to do it. Like that's like how it is like 90% of the time. The only time that's not the case is when the developer really cares and they happen to actually like speak the other language fluently, right? That's the only time you ever have like the original creators doing the localization. Now, oftentimes the original creator will advise on the localization. That's quite common, where they want to make sure like, you know, key scenes are done properly, or so the localizers can ask them, you know, should it be done this way or that way. You know, that's pretty common, but you know, that doesn't take that much time. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why Type Moon is so anti-NA. I really don't get it. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. And you know, other company like, dude, their excuses are so silly because you have other visual novel companies and just writing companies, because you know they make books and stuff too. But there's other companies that are way smaller than them, make way less money than them, and actually put out more content than they do, and they get their stuff localized, right? And hell, they'll get it on Steam and shit, right? Like, there's no, they have no ground to stand on. Like, it's pretty obvious that it's a conscious decision that makes it so they don't bring anything to NA. Licensing isn't always free money, because something sells so badly that it's not worth the cost of localizing it. But that's rare, right? Generally, localizing is going to be profitable because, and this is a very known thing in the industry, localizing is so much cheaper than creating a new thing. That goes for anime, that goes for games, you name it. Like, localizing is quite cheap to do generally. Even if you hire, like, you know, the grade A stuff and you know, go above and beyond to make it a really good localization, even then it's still way cheaper than making a new thing. But it can sell just as well as a brand new thing. You're basically cloning it. That's actually why, in my opinion, it's very wise to go the extra step in localizing. Because even the most expensive localization is just so much cheaper than a full-on development of a new thing. So it's worth going above and beyond and trying to get good sales and that kind of thing. Dude, all the weird names for Artoria. I like how in Melty Blood they spelled it Artoria, but they actually spelled it both ways. Like on the website they spelled it one way, in the trailer they spelled it a different way. I don't know how the official translation, like in the text in game, I don't know which way they do it that way. But I know on like the website it was Artoria, and I think in the trailer it was Ultria, because you know it's always that one. Like it's just like, what the fuck? And what I really find funny is like when they speak it, they always say, like even the Japanese like voice actors speak it, they say Artoria. But you know, like I think it's just like Type Moon's understanding of the English language is so bad, and that's I think they think Altria is Artoria. I'm pretty sure that's like the whole problem. Nero was like called that because when Fate Extra was being made, they said this in interviews later. They kind of wanted people to think it was Artoria. You know, Artoria was literally known as Saber. There was no other Saber, so like Red Saber was like Red Artoria, but you know, she was red. That's literally all there is to it. It's like because she was red, and they wanted people to think it was Artoria, and they didn't want like the cat to be out of the bag until later. And then obviously now she doesn't look anything like Artoria anymore. Well, she kind of does, but they've changed her design a lot over the years. But yeah, she was just a Saber in Fate Extra, and she was red. So she was Red Saber. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, then they made APOC and they did Saber of Red, so yeah, this is never going to get confusing. Yeah, that in Carnival Phantasma, the you know, Red Saber that shows up, that's what Nero used to look like in Fate Extra, right? They hadn't really updated her design yet. Go look it up right now. Go to Google, type in like PSP Fate Extra cover, right? And Nero used to just be Artoria, right? And when you see her in gameplay, same thing. Like her gameplay sprite in Fate Extra was just straight up Artoria, but you know, red. That was just what it was. And it's because back then they didn't think Fate could sell without Artoria, so that was pretty much the shtick. Like, because when they were marketing it, they didn't market it as Nero. They didn't do that. They didn't let people know that Nero was the Saber until the game was already out. Because, you know, sales. Probably for the best, though, that they ended up changing Nero to have a more unique look, because that was kind of dumb. I remember they like vaguely tried to address it. We're like, oh, maybe she's like Artoria's great ancestor or something. It's just stupid, dude. Don't get me on that, Cairo. Give me 1 second, chat. I need to get water real quick. I saw that, Cairo. It is kind of funny to think about. A lot of people that have gotten into Fate, you know, later, because it's a very old IP, but it's, you know, it blew up in like the last 6 years. but a lot of people that have gotten into it now, they never went through that phase of when like Fate was petrified to do anything without Artoria, because it used to be they would just find stupid reasons to put Artoria in everything, or an Artoria face, right? Like Nero, and like I think if Fate APOC had voice acting sooner, right? Because it originally was going to be a game, then it got canceled, and then they changed it a bit and they made it a book series, right? But I think if it had gotten like a game or an anime really early on, I think Mordred would have like had the same voice actress as Artoria and all kinds of nonsense, right? Like, Jesus Christ, it was so silly back then. Because I remember, it was so frustrating. I remember this. Because, so it used to be Fate Stay Night, right? So just Artoria. And then Fate Zero. All the other classes are different. But, you know, Gilgamesh and Artoria, right? So no new Saber. We've only ever had... So it was just so weird because they made it, like, so clear that there were other classes or other people that could be in the same class. But you just kept getting Artoria over and over. But you kept getting other characters for the other classes, right? You had Kuth and Diarmid and then Karna, right? You kept getting like very different things, you know, Lee. But then the Saber slot for so long was just always Artoria, or basically Artoria, because, you know, Nero used to be, you know, basically Red Artoria. And then so when APOC became a book instead of just a canceled concept, it was like, okay, well, there is an Artoria face, but Siegfried. It was the first Saber that's like a new Saber. You know, all the other classes we kept getting, you know, new characters in the class, but you know, Saber was just always an Artoria face. And it was like, oh my god, we finally get, you know, a look at other Sabers. And I remember I was like, that's awesome. And then APOC comes out and Siegfried dies so fast, just gone, right? And then it's like, Mordred! I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, really? Oh my god, it took so long for there to be a proper Fate story where the Saber wasn't a goddamn Artoria clone, and there still aren't that many, really. Like, they're still pretty bad about that, because, you know, I guess you got Redline, but that's Okita, right? So it's still kind of the same thing. But they you know, you got Fate Strange Fake. You know, then we finally have non-Artoria nonsense. And we've had a few games, you know, after where it's not always Artoria. But yeah, they're only in like the last few years have they really started to get off that nonsense. Oh my god, my team is so bad for this. But I think this is the stage where it ends after 6 turns, I think. At least because Mordred didn't really get like flushed out until later, they made her a lot different than Artoria, right? Her voice actress is completely different, and then they made her, you know, expressions and eyebrows and all that very different, so she ended up being more unique. But yeah, her original, I'm serious, I think the only reason Mordred is in APOC is because of her, you know, the Artoria connection. Because APOC, again, it was designed a long time ago. It was going to be a game. And so Mordred, her story for the most part, the basics of it had already been decided as of Fate Stay Night and Fate Hollow, right? Like they didn't, that stuff was already known. But I don't think they really had any intentions of like flushing that out and making her a full-on like Saber in a story at that time at all. I don't think they had plans for that at all. I think the only reason they slapped her in APOC was because, oh, we need something Artoria, and hey, we had that Mordred character, well, we'll just use that. That makes sense, right? I think that's the only reason. Where if APOC had been made way later, it would have been totally possible they would have just used something completely different. So yeah, a little silly. Let's see. What's the play here? Wish I'd actually brought in single target stuff for this, but I didn't realize this was this stage. The thing is, Joan of Arc, I mean, everyone says she's a Artoria face, but that's more because of the Gilius thing. She really isn't. Like, even in the early days of FGO, she wasn't. You know, she has different hair color. They're both blonde, but it's a completely different shade. She has different eye color. Her face shape is only as similar as the art style. Right? Different voice actress. Now, who knows? Maybe if they made it back in the day, maybe she wouldn't have had a different voice actress, but... like, she's barely an Artoria face, and it really is only a name only, and because of the Gilius stuff. Oh, he can draw. People overly hate on him. People always. It's actually kind of silly. Now, you know, clearly he cuts corners sometimes and things like that, but every artist does. If you look at, take almost any anime you've ever watched, and then, you know, get the character sheets for them, like the concept art and stuff, and then remove their hair. So many of them are going to have the exact same face shape. It is not unique to him at all. That you can only do so much within an art style, right? Now, sure, you could use a completely different art style for each character if you wanted to, but that won't look good, and like that's just not a thing. Like, he is literally not any different than any other fucking artist. It's just because he's kind of in the spotlight, you know, people I think really unfairly judge him. And like, he uses a lot of the same poses, but that's also, God, that's so true for so many artists, because there's a lot of like popular poses that just, you see them everywhere. Like, a lot of the poses you see him use, you'll see other artists use on promotional art for anime and all the time, because they're just cliche poses, and they get used a lot because they're you know, they give you the, you know, the full body shot or whatever, so they just keep using them. It's not like they're actually tracing over it, because it doesn't work that way. Most of the line work and stuff is actually the clothes and whatnot, so that doesn't do you any good anyway. But honestly, he's a perfectly good artist. It's just, you know, he does a lot more art in FGO than a lot of the other artists do, so it's easier to see the repetitive side of it. I don't think he's the best artist, like, sure, but like, he's a perfectly reasonable artist. He does just fine. And if a lot of the other artists had to do as much art in FGO as he does, you'd start noticing patterns and repeat stuff too. Like, absolutely. Thankfully, we don't have to do the 500k here. Might as well NP. Fuck it. I mean, sure, some artists go out of their way to make sure they're not using the same pose that they've used in the past, but I don't really care if they do that or not, because the point of, like, especially your stage 1, 2, and 3, you know, the point of those stages is kind of just to be a, you know, body shot to show what the character looks like. You know, kind of like a poster for an anime. And a lot of stuff uses the same poses. I don't give a fuck. Like, I literally don't give a fuck. I mean, hell, you see a lot of the same poses in FGO and other media between different artists that end up being the same. And again, I don't think he does like the best work in FGO. I'm not saying that, but I think he's very unfairly judged. And it's like a meme. It's like when a lot of people may not have played FGO back then, but I remember it used to be the meme to say Siegfried was bad, when that was like the thing. And I remember after Siegfried got buffed the second time, which here we are many years later, Siegfried's in the exact same state he was then, right? He hasn't been buffed since the second buff. And ever since his second buff, Siegfried's been fine. Like, sure, he's not the best saber in the game, but he's totally fine. He's a completely reasonable AoE saber. And even in his niche is actually, you know, quite powerful. And I remember for so long, people just wouldn't stop saying he was the worst, even though he clearly wasn't the worst anymore. Like, clearly! But, I mean, you could not convince people otherwise, and it just got repeated on Reddit all the time. I mean, all of the time. And what would happen is, no one tested Siegfried. Very few people would level him because he had this bad reputation. And so you'd have people on Reddit, or the wiki, or whatever, saying that he's bad, or making jokes that he's bad, having never used him themselves, ever, right? They're just repeating it because they saw someone else say it. But that person also never used it themselves. And it just goes on, and it's the same thing with a lot of the art in FGO, where it just becomes like a meme, and people just repeat it, you know, like word vomit, and they don't even think about, wait, what is the industry standard? Are other faces actually drawn the same way? Like, they don't look into any of that. and they're just like, you know, spewing it out as a meme, and it's very unfair to the artists. Like, it's very unfair to the artists. Yeah, same for Arjuna, Beyond was a big one. Beyond, people finally started to realize Beyond was good after his third buff. Even then, it took a little while, but he was good after his second buff. He was just better after his third. It was really funny watching it, because I'd used Fionn since long before his third buff. And I remember when he got his third buff, everyone was like, "Oh, Fionn is good now?" Question mark. And you can find a lot of clickbaity, you know, video titles and stuff, and people all showing off him 3-turn farming and whatnot. But a lot of the setups that they're doing would work without his third buff. So I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, look how good he is now!" But he could have literally done that before, right? Like, there's a lot of Fionn setups that don't require him to have that third buff for them to work. And yeah, it's kind of, the community is really, just don't be that guy. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Don't just if I say something, don't just repeat it because I said it. Think about it, for God's sakes, right? And you're like, okay, no, yeah, that makes sense. That, you know, what Green Man said aligns with, you know, reality. So okay, but don't just say it because I said it, right? Because I could be wrong, or maybe you have a different opinion, right? Like, you know, look, if it's something you're gonna look into it. And if you happen to agree with me, that's totally fine, right? It's not like you can't agree with me. Of course you can agree with people, right? You might think Siegfried is bad, right? But like, actually go use Siegfried and see if you think he's bad or not, right? Because even if you do, let's say you do a bad job of testing Siegfried, right? Let's say you grab Siegfried, you use him in a really stupid way, you don't know what you're doing, there's user error everywhere, and you don't even realize it. But at least do it, right? And then when you say that he's bad, at least say why you think he's bad and like how you used him or whatever's making you think he's bad, articulate it, right? Because then other people can work with that. They can say, oh, maybe try doing this, or I think he is good because instead of doing that, I did this, right? You know, people can have a goddamn conversation and say, oh, Siegfried's bad, and that's it, right? Like, that's useless, right? And it's not unique to FGO, obviously. This happens to, like, all video games where, like, certain things catch on in, like, the community, and people just repeat it so much that people start just assuming it's true, right? And this is, like, a known thing in human psychology, where when people are exposed to the same information enough, or they're exposed to enough people that think it's true, they will think it's true just because they think, oh, if so many people think it's true, it must be true, because all those people couldn't be wrong. But they absolutely can be, and there's all, you know, common misconceptions is a phrase for a reason, right? A lot of times you have like a stupid thing catch on in a community, and it spreads like wildfire, and almost everyone, you know, toting it hasn't actually looked into the damn thing, right? So it's just, it's good to, you know, use your brain every once in a while, and be like, oh yeah, that thing that everyone says is a thing that I've never actually looked into ever in my life. Maybe I should look into it, right? It not just, again, fuck FGO. It can be useful in all aspects of your life. Dude, early JPFGO is a real shit show. Like, early NA was kind of a shit show too, but it's so much better than JP's. Although not in all areas, because I actually think day one NA was worse in some areas. And it's weird because some of the quality of life updates NA got early kind of broke the game, right? Like Oceanus was just not scaled for people having a bunch of max level servants. But a lot of people had max level servants by Oceanus, right? And it's because they had dailies early, and they had a lot of the, you know, QP changes early, and they got you know, updated FP summon early, and all that kind of stuff. That, you know, it was so much easier for people to level up, and so it kind of warps the experience. Now, there's a lot of things NA got early that it's good that they got early, and there was no drawbacks. But I think there was a lot of things in FGO that were kind of lost because of the quality of life updates coming early. On the flip side, though, there are some quality of life updates that can literally not come soon enough, and we still don't even have on JP, and it's ridiculous. So, you know, like, I don't know, story replay. Yeah, because the early game experience is designed for like how the game used to be and not how the game is, it absolutely needs to be redone. And it's bad. I mean, like, it is so bad how the early game is for FGO. Because people, not only do people level faster and they get a free 5-star and a free max ascension, but their stories, all the supports they can summon, like their friends and stuff, they're all level 90 to 120 now. All of them. right? Like you're not gonna summon a level 50 when you're in Oceanus. You can't even find one, right? So it's like the game has just changed so much. The rate in which you get XP is so much different that the experience you're running into is just so out of whack that it's a huge turnoff. I mean, I say it like every stream, but I mean, I've seen it. I know a lot of my own friends that have quit the game because it's so boring early on, and people in our chat have said, like, oh yeah, the only reason I didn't quit is because I saw videos showing that the game got better. But there's countless other people that just quit and we never hear from them, and that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of like basic bitch features that like every game has except FGO, and it does get frustrating. It gets frustrating when you're 6 years in and they can't be bothered to add an account system. It's like really? And there's been other games that launched without an account system that added it later, and those games make less money than FGO. So why can those devs figure it out, but they can't? Right, and I get it, because they've said, DW was a really small company, they didn't have a lot of experience. They said that themselves, that they didn't have much experience, they were kind of industry noobs. So it's one thing if they personally don't know how to do it, that's fine. But with all that money you're making, you hire staff that does, and you make an account system, right? Like, that's not asking for too much, it really isn't. And if you don't know how to make a new UI to support like a story replay, then you hire... I really mean this, just in general. I'm not even going to talk about any specific feature. I think one of the best things FGO could do is hire some industry veterans that are very experienced at making UIs specifically, and hire them to like redo almost everything in FGO. Like, not all at once, but like over time. But that is so worth the money. You specifically hire someone or multiple people even, with their sole aim to update their UI and make it, better. Like, because it's crazy how bad it is, and the fact that it's on a touchscreen device and it doesn't take advantage of any click and drag and stuff. It's like, what are we doing here, right? Like, it's so ridiculous. And it's so, at this point, their UI is so convoluted and there's so many problems with it. And how they, like now, like with the coin system, how they're just copy pasting other UIs and stuff. They need to just redo it. They need to hire someone that's an expert and is like can make because they're a huge game. They're this huge game. They have a lot of eyes on them. They have it's worth it for them to spruce themselves up, right? It's absolutely worth it. And you want to look better to new players, so you want to make the new player experience better, and you definitely want your UI to be better. I'm hoping they're going to hire new staff soon. It sounded like DW wants to hire more staff. Like that interview, I really think they want to. So I'm hoping they do, because they got that new COO, and we still don't know, we're not far enough in from him having taken over to see, the kind of changes he's going to implement. Now, I'm kind of worried, though, he's not going to implement any changes, and he's not even going to worry about FGO. He's gonna be like, okay, yeah, y'all doing good enough, just keep doing what you're doing, and, whatever, now I'm going to go work on all these other projects, and we're going to try to make one of these a hit, and y'all can just cruise until you fail, or manage to climb, right? Like, because a lot of companies do that, right? A lot of companies do that, where they got, like, their successful thing, they just like, okay, y'all do whatever, and just keep coasting, and we're going to try to make a new hit over here. Because he doesn't have any experience in these kinds of games, and I don't know if he even cares. Now, and that's fine. A good COO doesn't necessarily have to understand the genre. They can literally delegate to someone that does. They might go, okay, this is a profitable IP, so we want to put resources towards it. So I'm going to put someone in charge that understands the market, understands these kinds of games. I'm going to give him enough money and power to do what he thinks needs to get done, and you delegate, right? That's if he has no idea what he's doing, that's what he should do. But who knows? We'll probably never know what he's doing behind the scenes. So. Things have been much slower recently, and that's obvious, right? You don't have to be like looking at the game with a magnifying glass to notice that. But and it's bad, it sucks. But like I have said, I'm giving them leeway right now because they do have a lot of management shifts. They had their other game die, so it's kind of expected for there to be some bumps. What annoys me is I'm totally okay with the game having all these bumps recently. Like really, I think it's completely forgivable. What I don't like is the fact that while they're going through this dry period and they're kind of slow, they're not just doing basic things to make it better, right? Like doing reruns or doing a fucking main interlude, which takes almost no work on their part. Doing stuff like that is a really good way to keep the player base happy and also just communicate. like, I don't, Japan is really bad about this a lot of times. A lot of Japanese companies they're just terrible at PR, and they have to put on this like fake front because it's like what you're supposed to do. And so they're like afraid to be honest, right? And I think they would actually get a lot of favor if they would just be honest. It's like, hey, we got new leadership. We got like, you can't. They're never going to come out and say, yeah, Sakura Wars just died, and so obviously we're going to shake some things up and move staff around. They're not going to say that. I think they could, and no one would care. But they're going to say, project management, blah blah blah, whatever. But if they would just come out and say, like, yeah, okay, we're gonna, it's gonna be a little rough for a little while. We got new management. It's gonna take a little while to get things in order. But in the meantime, we're gonna try to do like a lot of main interludes and reruns, and maybe bring back some old favorites. Maybe have some fun with it. Put up a poll and let people vote on an event that they want to bring back, right? And then you bring it back, right? So if people vote for Golden Sumo, they get Golden Sumo, right? And that's a really good way to keep the player base from freaking out and throwing shit at you, and actually doing something practical while also not having to really do any work, right? Instead, we kind of just sit here with, dead months for some reason. I do wonder if because they'd only pull the JP community, obviously. But if they did pull the JP community, I do wonder what event they would vote on, right? If they let people vote on, like, any event that's, like, 3 years or older or something, and they could vote on whatever they wanted, I wonder what people would vote on. I'm kind of worried because so many players, because there's a lot of casuals. FGO has a lot of super casuals. They don't, they don't keep track of anything, right? And if they weren't even playing when Golden Sumo existed, they don't even know what it is. Like, there are way more players like that than you think. I mean, way more. FGO has millions and millions of players, so it's like, there's a lot of super casuals. So what I'm kind of worried what would happen is if they pulled people, the casuals are just going to vote for like that one story they liked or like that one they heard. Oh yeah, CCC was good, right? And they'll just vote for that, even though we already have a main interlude for CCC, right? Like I really would be worried if something stupid like that happening instead of them, voting for something more interesting. But I guess they can vote on whatever they would want, but not voting for Go West or Moon Goddess. I feel like there's no way Moon Goddess would get voted for because no one remembers it. So like I was just talking about. And then the people that do remember it hate it. And anyone that is like meta and hardcore and looking things up on like a wiki can see how bad the rewards are. So I don't think there's any way that would get any votes. You probably have like, 20 guys would vote for it ironically. And that would be it. Yeah, I think K&K might get it. I could see K&K, Fate Zero, stuff like that. I think there is a chance the Rider Kentoki event would get picked just because Raiko's popular, Kentoki's popular. He's a very known welfare. And the CEs are really good and everything. So that one would have a chance. But if I had to pick, like, and bet, I wouldn't bet on that being the one people would pick. I think if they kept voting and like after that event they got another one and like over time, from time to time they would poll the community. I think the community would pick that one eventually, but it might take a minute. They'd probably pick one where they could they had raids that like had Barbatos, one of the times Barbatos came back. They might do that just so they could get the mats. Getting shot in the face. I like Mechaliz Mach 2 back there just staring at you. A little creepy. I really don't need Hercules in the front. I could buff Arash, that would be better, but we'll make it work. I almost misclicked and I was trying to unclick Arash's Buster card there, and I almost clicked Artoria's NP, so I would have done Arash's NP, Arash's Buster card, and then Artoria's NP, which would have been like the worst turn ever here. The only really fun thing about the Rider Kentoki event was there was like a raid at the end. Oh no, there were raids throughout. Yeah, there were raids throughout. And they had like, they'd have like quick resistance or art resistance or something. It was fun at the time because I remember, I think they did it on purpose, I swear. Because it was just too how do I put this? Like the saber, the saber raid. Back then, the free-to-plays would obviously use Robin Hood. There really wasn't a lot of options back then. And the raid was single target, not AoE. So, like, if you're a free-to-play and you don't have any rare stuff, it was very likely that you would use Robin Hood. But the saber raid had art resistance. But then you could do all kinds of things to make up for that anyway. And then, like, if I remember correctly, the caster one, you know, it was anti-quick, and so the obvious one was Ushi back then, and then Gintoki because of the event, and he was quick too. Like they did, it's like every single one of them was like they countered the obvious thing that you would bring against them back then. It's not like that anymore though, because now there's so many more units, and you've got so many more card options that it wouldn't be too tricky. Because the only reason some of those were kind of tricky back then for free-to-plays was just because most of your obvious picks were getting resistance blocked. But yeah, now you've got just a million better options. But you can still buff stack for fun. Like, it'd be so easy to one-turn those now. Like, it'd be so easy to one-turn those now. But it'd be fun to just see your units do a lot of damage and, you know, mess about. But yeah, you fought like a giant green Oni, giant blue Oni, giant red Oni, and then Raiko. And I don't even remember what Raiko did. But it was kind of fun. It's an old event, right? You know, it's nothing amazing, and the game just crashed. Oh, that doesn't happen very often, but every now and then. But yeah, for an old event, it's pretty solid. It's kind of like the Banana Oni event, right? Like, I think that event's aged way better than a lot of the other old ones, right? If they brought that back, they're still fun to be had. You're not gonna be like, oh my god, this is the best, but you know, it's a hell of a lot better than Go West or you know, Moonfest, shit like that. Oki won. Yeah, she froze the device. So kind of an interesting retcon, if you will. The Amazon Penth costume originated from this event. It was in the story, right? She was the, you know, CEO in the story. But in gameplay, she just still had her original sprite because they didn't make the costume. Because like, they were like, oh yeah, this is a fun little thing, you know, she got glasses and a tie. But they're like, oh, you know, that was it. But it became pretty popular, and so people kept asking for it. So then, you know, down the road, they added it as a costume. And so now when they're doing this kind of like repackaged old event, they just put it in. Like, it used to just be the story sprite and not in gameplay, but now it's in gameplay too. So that's kind of nice. But that is such an example of why you can't win and why people are fucking morons. Because I remember, so they made this event, and, you know, they did a little, you know, Penth CEO thing for fun, you know, it's a little fun side thing, not even that big of a deal. And that was that, and the people wanted it. They were like, you know, you designed it, you know, it would be really easy to implement, you might as well add it. And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll add it, and they did, right? So they added his little costume. And does anyone else know what I'm gonna say? Because I'm sure people remember this. Then a bunch of people were like, wow, what a lazy costume. You know, why, there was so much bitching about that costume when it came out. And they're like, wow, you know, that's all they did. What a bad costume. I'm like, it's kind of like, thankfully this wouldn't happen to Bedivere because Summer Bedivere is so, it's so much more like in the spotlight than CEO Penth was. But it's kind of like, you know, people ask for Summer Bedivere all the time, and then if they added it, and people are like, oh, they didn't. This is not as much of a different summer costume as the other ones. They're just being lazy, even though it was just like this story sprite thing that wasn't even supposed to be a costume that everybody wants, and they're being nice by adding it, right? That's just such an example of people being morons and having no idea what they're talking about. And it's like, would you rather they just not add the CEO costume, right? It's so ridiculous. Yeah, that was everywhere on like the wiki and stuff. I mean, it was easy, and even our Discord, I remember people would say stuff like that, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I'd actually have rather gotten Summer Bedivere than the Butler costume. Not that there's anything wrong with the Butler costume, but he's got the cool shades, man. Like, I mean, come on, gotta have that. Like when you look at Bedivir's personality and you know the way he behaves and everything, him having those kind of sunglasses is just kind of amazing, right? It's such a good thing. We need more of that. Hawaiian shirt coup is pretty widespread, so I there wouldn't be too much bitching about that, I don't think. And it is more involved than like CEO Pimp is. At this point, because Nasu likes Ku just fine, like he likes Ku's character. They've joked about it, like the Hawaiian shirt, and Ku has like it's so easy for Ku to just be one of the 3 stars that they give a costume to during summer. And between the reruns and the new events, it's crazy that he hasn't gotten it. And they've even said that he's one of the most requested characters in the entire game to get a costume. He's like in the top 5, right? He's super highly requested. I think so. It's not like they don't know. They know, and I think they're intentionally not doing it. And again, it's not like Nasu hates Ku, so it's not like he would do that out of spite or anything. My guess is they've got something in mind when they want to do it. Like Fate Hollow collab or some event where they know Ku's going to be a major player, not just a side thing, or whatever, you know, whatever the fuck their plan is. It's because it's been so long, that has to be the reason. I can't imagine at this point they're just going to randomly add it, you know, in like Summer 7, right? And Ku's just like a side thing that's barely in the event, but he gets the 3-star slot like Ricky did, and then that's it, right? Like, if that's the case, why didn't you do it forever ago? And if they do that, then I'm going to truly be perplexed, because then I don't understand what they're thinking. But yeah, at this point, I feel like they might be saving it for like Fate Hollow or, you know, whatever the fuck. And that would be, I will say, if let's say they did do a Fate Hollow collab, right? And then like Bazette's the welfare, Ku gets a costume, Onger gets an animation update, you know, one of the other characters gets like a new, you know, class version for it. Or, you know, whatever, or God, watch them, oh my God, chat, does this sound like something they might do? They add a new 5-star that's like a pseudo servant based on one of the schoolgirls from Fate Stay Night / Fate Hollow, right? Like, there's quite a few of them, like, you know, that are side characters, you know, I could totally see them doing that, because it's like, if, you know, new 5-star, and because it's a pseudo servant, they can get crazy wacky with the design or whatever the fuck they want to do. I could totally see that. I don't know why I never thought of that sooner. That is right up their alley. That is so right up their alley. Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't happened yet too. That's actually like so up their alley that we'll see. How long do we have before the next collab? I kind of forgot when the Idol event was, because it's been like 8 months or something, so we don't have that long for another collab. But oh God, it could be Tsukihime, it could be Melty Blood, it could be Prototype, it could be Hollow, and it could be another not collab. Let's be honest, last year we didn't have a collab event. You know, they said we did, but we didn't. And that was literally FGO x FGO. Like, that was the... Dude, that was so dumb. That was so unbelievably dumb. And like, if they wanted to do that event, that's fine, right? If you wanted to do an idol-based event, you know, that's totally fine. But don't act like it's the collab event. Just do the event, you know, whenever, and just be like any other, you know, regular event that they do, right? You don't... That was so dumb that they tried to act like that was a collab event. FGO x FGO arcade coming up, boys. I mean, honestly, I think people would be more okay with that than with Waltz. Because Waltz was literally just FGO. But a Waltz, right? That was it. Where arcade does have a lot of exclusive content. Like, a lot of exclusive content. So, one, that might be the first collab that they would do where it was like an actual collab, where like Sega would probably then add some stuff to the arcade version that's not in the arcade version, that's in the regular game, and then the regular game would actually add stuff that's, you know, they would probably actually collab. But normally when they collab, it's just one-sided, right? Like, for example, you know, they collabed with Battle Cats, but only Battle Cats got Fate stuff, right? and they collabed with like that card game, and only that card game got Fate stuff. You know, they didn't go both ways. And then when they collab with themselves, obviously there is no both ways to go. So, you know, it's one-sided again. So if they did do Arcade, that would probably be the first fucking time it was actually a collab. Because a lot of things that are called collabs, you know, it's like a marketing buzzword. It's not actually a collab. So, I feel like the Santas you might never get because they're holiday specific. And I'm quite sure that Sega has some kind of agreement with Type Moon, where either some of their things are exclusive or they're at least timed exclusives. Because, I mean, Sega's not stupid, right? Sega's not going to just sit there and not haggle and not try to better their position. Of course they're going to do that. You know, they want their game to be as successful as possible. And so they're obviously going to, you know, try to get Type Moon to make things like, you know, Female Merlin, you know, just for them. Even if it's timed exclusive, they're certainly, you know, incentivized for it to be an exclusive. So, if that's the case, you know, there's either you can't have them in FGO or you have to wait a certain amount of time. And if that's the case, though, that, you know, I don't, the welfare ones, I just don't, that are holiday specific, I don't see syncing up with the regular game. That was very unlucky what happened right there. I could obviously have saved him, but I would have to click buttons, and I didn't want to do that. The costumes, though, are probably pretty easy to do. I doubt there's any like exclusive agreement for those. I would hope not, anyway. I mean, for God's sakes, one of the arcade costumes is based on CE art in the regular game, so kind of funny how the arcade version, because I've said many, and I've seen lots of people say this, where they would like costumes that are just the art from the craft essences, right? Because like there's a lot of designs out there that people want, but they've never done that ever. They might make it similar to a craft essence, but they've never actually put the costume from a craft essence in the game. But Arcade did, right? Arcade got art from regular FGO as a costume, where FGO never did that. So that's kind of weird. Like, you know, the anniversary costumes and all that stuff. I think we're almost done, actually. I'm glad I grit my teeth and got through this, because getting 2 extra grails and all these mats is pretty nice. Okay, let's at least be smart enough not to bring a bunch of stuff that sucks against a ruler. What do I want to do here? That might look weird, but a guaranteed crit can be pretty good. I'm hoping the back row don't matter too much. Surely I have Kenneth stuff. Oh, I don't, actually this account might not have it, but I think it has Sunlight. But yeah, I think this account somehow has not gotten it yet, but I do remember that it got Sunlight. Or Oath of Sunlight, or whatever the fuck it's called. Ox King would be nice. You know, a robot might not actually be humanoid, but this game's pretty dumb. All right. Anniversary Blonde looks super different on a female, because I normally am a male master, and I could not find Anniversary Blonde there, because it looks quite different. See ya, Cobb. I should really wrap up too, it's just I want to get this event over with.
I could crit right now, but I don't need to. Always nice to taunt your unit with evade because you guarantee max value. And you get a lot of NP out of it as well. Well, let's see, they're gonna do crap. Maybe I do want to crit to be safe. I, 60%. I mean, we're favored. He's got the Buster Chain bonus. He should have it. Herc! What are you doing, buddy? What was that? I don't even know. Going off the damage he's done prior, I'm confused as to why he only did 27k there. God damn it, Herc. We were Herc, buddy, if you broke there, I could have done Mozart's third skill, and all three of these would have crit, and you'd have attack up, crit up, and then Chen Gong's Buster up and crit up. You would have absolutely obliterated it. I should have done Guts there, just to be safe. Dude, this stage was trying really hard to fuck me over. It was trying really hard to fuck me over here. Well, Art crit it is. It's so disappointing. Look, we get this giant crit buff when we don't have a Buster card. He's probably just dead to the NP, but maybe that defense up is big, I don't know. He just wants to show off how much value he has. You get a lot more value if you crit with a Brave Chain and double crit up. 131, okay. Definitely not a big enough defense buff to survive that one. One of these is a little bit harder, I remember. I could replace Mozart with Penth, but let's see if we can make this work better. The issue is breaking on turn 1. That's the iffy part. That's where Penth would come in handy though, because you get attack up, Buster up. Less health this time. Maybe give me like 2 cards game. Oh, you give you an attack up here. Now I don't need the 2 cards now. Although I don't know, maybe nope, we're good. We're good. Now you crit. Oh shit! Why is that a gimmick? I should have cast Guts. That was really close. I like how I taunted Herc, and then it's like Pierce Vulnerability, by the way. Thanks, game. Yep, should have done. I could have done the defense up, damage cut, right? Because then I wouldn't have taken so much damage. Could have done Guts. You know, either way, it would have been better. I think we just crit on this one. I could. Let's see. He still has a Buster card left. Yeah, I think we just crit on this one, and we do Buster up for the next one. I haven't done his upgrade quest. Pierce Vulnerability on a level 50 boss. What are we doing here? This would actually be fun if you were like a super new account though, because it's like a boss at the power level of like, you know, Orleans, but they actually have gimmicks. So if you actually had servants of the right level, it'd be fun.
See, why can't we have a challenge mode version of this stage where it's the same stuff but just way higher stats? You know, and then it's story replay. So it's like, you know, like Arc Knights. Literally what I just said is a thing in Arc Knights. So it's like, goddamn. Well, she does not have nearly enough health to survive this, so. Brave Chain too. Should I put Star Bomb on Arthur's art cards? It's pretty good. It's not a bad thing to do. Both Mordred and Arthur are pretty happy if they have Star Bomb on their art cards. You know, you could use those slots for utility though. You can use them for the Merlin command code. You have a lot of different options. Because assume you're on NA, and if you're on NA, you don't have the respec, right? So you can't just do whatever you want. But if you're a big Arthur fan and it's just a generic blanket like command code, Star Bomb is totally fine on his art cards. I guess NA doesn't have his first skill buff because I don't feel like that was that long ago. I think that was about a year ago. I really like that buff for him though. I wish they would buff his NP because you want Arthur to have a really hard hitting NP because his is the EX version, so. Kind of frustrating where his NP damage is good, but you know, you want it to be like a good. Alright, we can get one of these. Probably not gonna level her though, even though I don't have another alter ego, it's just, she's not that necessary. I think we already beat Abigail. If I wanted to get her NP5, I'd have to play the event. I'd have to like spam apples in this like last hour, and I could get her NP5. It's not that hard to do, but I already have her NP5 on my main account and on my ult account, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. She is the only good Liz though. Like Liz Mach 2 is all right. Murder bot. See, NA is probably the alt account. This is like alt. Yeah, I figured one day Ku is gonna get a buff on his third skill. We'll see though. I just hope they buff Deermid first. You just buff Deermid first, buff Taiga first. Right, if you do that stuff in Baldy, right, if you buff those before buffing Ku again, it's not that big of a deal, but if they buff Ku first, it's just insulting. It's like, what the fuck? Like, yes, all this time, Taiga doesn't need a buff, am I right? She's totally fine. Okay, chat. I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I really wanted to play Ninja Gaiden today, but I knew I wouldn't today because I slept like crap, and Ninja Gaiden is a really hard game, and I'm rusty as hell. And if I try to play it when I'm like a bit, you know, sleepy, I'm gonna die. Because let's be honest, I'm gonna die anyway, but I would like to die slightly less if possible. But we'll get to Ninja Gaiden soon. Hey, look though, this account's got 664 SQ and a bunch of shards, so that's something. We'll roll on something at some point. Anyway, boys, I will see you all tomorrow. Wait a minute. Let me, can raid somebody. Potentially. Everybody playing not FGO. Oh, Sharquado. There we go. We'll hit him up. Good guy. Alright, go get him, boys. And now I will see you tomorrow.